Question to begin the morning. What's that thing falling from the sky here in the Big O this morning?
Asbestos.
R-E-Y, Mysterio. Here we go. You didn't get that?
I got it.
There
It
you
took me a
go.
little bit. It's early. It's 6:09.
Come on, that's a throwback.
You
That's
got-
a throwback for me too.
You gotta save that one. You gotta at least wait till 6:30.
No,
Uh,
we got loyal listeners.
like
They'll
it's
catch
snow is falling from the sky here in
Gross.
Omaha.
It's cold.
Yeah. What is this winter
that.
thing?
I don't know what. I was fine. I walked to my car. I was okay. I embraced the wind. I embraced the elements.
Let's
I put my head
check on
down.
them
I
tomorrow.
ran through the A gap.
Yeah.
Got to the goal line, and Jack Sawyer was right there. Just stopped it from happening.
Better than Jack Tatum.
Yeah.
Rest in
You.
peace.
I think you'd like to get hit more by Jack Sawyer than Jack Tatum.
Fair enough.
Jack Tatum would put you night.
There are a lot of men out there and football players who would put me night. I think they ask the like.
I think
There's
Dylan
that-
Raiola could tackle you and put you out.
I don't
You
know
little
about that.
scrawny
I
fella?
I think I could move to the left or move to the right against Dylan Raiola.
Are you
But-
saying something about his speed
No,
and his foot speed? Wow.
Nope.
You haven't even seen him with an offseason of conditioning.
Call him out.
What's already throwing the quarterback under the bus.
but like the common question, like if you were given the ball, could you get 3 yards or could you get a yard in the NFL?
Yeah.
I could, but I would die. Like
Give me
if
a
I
lead
got
blocker.
hit, by Roquan Smith, I don't think I'm getting back up. I think I'm being stretchered off the field.
Did we get it? You got a yard. Yes.
Yeah, but see, more likely, like the offensive line would be like, screw this guy. We have no loyalty to him. Just Olay block.
It'd be like Gridiron Gang, where
Yes.
they let Sandler get sacked over and over again.
So we do have like a major, I don't know, judged by the weather forecasters in this town on TV. They get like super excited. And like some of the morning are
Too excited.
pretty like reserved. But as you move through the day,
Yeah.
like they get more and more like this is the worst thing that's going to happen to Omaha. You better go to the grocery store right now. And if you haven't left, you're in trouble.
It's over.
So I'm thinking because tomorrow's supposed to be like a snow day around here.
Yeah.
And we don't even know how to handle it. I don't even know what snow looks like.
Yeah.
We've had an inch of snow.
Yeah. We're going to have 2. It's going to be a disaster on the roads, even though it's not going to be bad.
But
It's
I'm
gonna be
worried.
powdery.
I'm worried today because I have to go to the grocery store after the show.
Me too.
So I'm like, am I gonna have to put my flak jacket on? Is it gonna be like I'm gonna have to fight for every inch in every aisle? There will not be a smile in every aisle, and I'm gonna have to like ward off people because they are panicking and they are going to the grocery store and they are buying everything. Well, I'm buying the smart stuff. Like when you get a snowstorm, I like people go like eggs. Well, eggs is a little bit of a thing. You're kind of restricted now. But bread and water and milk. I'm like beer. Like nobody
yes.
is standing in the
Yeah.
beer aisle when it's a snowstorm is on the way. So I'm wondering, like, is this going to be an event at the grocery store today that I'm going to walk out of there just pissed off?
I'll be going to the grocery because I need to get meat. So I'll hopefully, the $8 sirloin steaks that I've been hitting
That's a
off
good
those.
deal.
It's a
Wow.
great deal.
$8.
An $8
yeah.
12-ounce New York strip.
Ooh.
You know where I'm talking. I think everyone knows where that deal's at. So I go there and I get that. But I don't think really you think there's gonna be like
Yes.
an
Oh,
Armageddon
that's what happens.
for 2 inches of snow?
Because when you hear snow, people panic.
You
They're
should
like, oh
not
my
2
gosh,
inches.
time to
Oh,
go to the
yes.
grocery store.
Even in good old Omaha, Nebraska,
2
it's
inches
going to
is
be cake.
nothing.
I know.
That's what she said.
It's true. I mean, it's cold.
Not lying.
That was a good one.
I got plenty of them. So I got to have a plan.
I think you should go to the beer aisle first, and then the toilet paper aisle, and then the milk aisle. I think that's your
Milk.
1, 2, 3.
Somebody just asked me, why am I going grocery shopping when I'm going out of town on a basketball trip?
That's a great point.
Because I haven't gone grocery shopping in a while,
So you're kind of
and the house is kind of
Empty.
yeah.
Are you looking at like a boy fridge right now?
Yeah.
There's like 2 Bush Lights, like
bottle
a pack,
Bartons.
bottle Bartons, a pack of turkey, tortilla, and
Half
cheese.
open.
It is it's slim
Some
pickings when
Doritos.
you open up my refrigerator.
and a bottle of water
and
from your
one-
last road
There's,
game.
And
there's a
one,
lot more liquid than there is solid.
there's a pack of Milo's iced
True.
tea.
It's true.
No, see, I'm out of that.
You're out of Milo's.
Yeah.
And
Dang,
thus he has
that's
to
why
go to
he's
the
drinking.
store.
That's why he's drinking the Omaha Mavericks Aquafina water right now. It comes straight from the Baxter cooler.
We've all been there.
Well, good luck to everybody out there today.
Yeah.
But we also have
It should not be good luck to everybody.
No, you're
out
right.
there.
You're
It
right,
is-
Matt.
It is
good
cold,
luck to the Oma Dome.
but it is not great, and it's 2 inches of snow. You're gonna be fine.
I want people to panic, but don't go to the grocery store till after 2.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
like
going.
just go crazy.
Oh.
You know what? Go panic shopping, but do it after 2, and don't go to my favorite grocery store so that we do not cross paths.
You're a Trader Joe's guy for sure. You've
No.
now entered the stage
Trader-
of your
Trader-
life where you got a little bit.
No,
you're
no,
a
no,
li-
no, no,
Got a
no,
little
no,
bit of
no,
moolah.
no.
You get to go to Trader
No.
Joe's. You get to.
No, Trader Joe's is a special experience, but I like familiarity in my grocery store, so I know
Right.
where everything is at.
Okay.
Like Trader Joe's, a lot of people go to Trader Joe's. Like I like to bop here and there.
Yeah.
I don't have the plan like, when you're growing up and your mom takes you to the grocery store, and so you've got to go up and down every friggin' aisle, and you got to look at both sides.
People-
I'm like now, I like bop around, and I probably tick people off.
This is why we were good at Prices Right as kids, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People,
So Trader Joe's is one of those places you can bop around.
people who go to Trader Joe's are kind of insufferable. They make it a
Whoa.
bit. They kind of make it their personality that they go to Trader Joe's. And
Might
they
as well
got
go
those.
sit by the phone.
They got those.
What? No, wait a minute. Hold on.
Big
That-
bulky bags, and oh my
Hold
god,
on.
I got organic.
that
and
shit.
oh
There
my
is a
god,
cross section of people that go to Trader Joe's. I can't believe you are slamming Trader Joe's.
No, I'm not slamming Trader Joe's. There
Worse,
are just some
The
people,
people.
who go
Do
to
you go to
Trader,
Trader Joe's?
Hell no.
Oh, I bet you do.
I go to
You
I
strike
go to
me as a
Ross
guy.
for less. I go to Kohl's. I go to Aldi. I am
Whoa,
trying to.
No. You've been talking about spending so much money.
Yeah,
First
now
time
I'm
in
done.
your life you're making a lot of money,
And
you're
now we're going to
spending
the
it
Goodwill.
like there
I'm
it is
not-
going out of style.
because I had to buy a bed and I had to buy a TV and I had to buy a table. And you know what? My big mouth said I would buy this place a Keurig, so I had to buy. And people held me to it.
We're
which
happy
is-
for you. You're making a lot of money, and you're
I'm
spending
not
a lot of
making
money.
A lot of money.
I
We're
do
gonna-
enjoy the Keurig.
I mean, middle of the summer, we're gonna pick you up, and you're gonna be like, "Man, I
Hey.
made a bad choice. I don't have any money. I'm down and out of my luck. We just got evicted."
That's not true. I just
I'm doing 6
literally-
remotes
I-
today for all the stations.
I won my Super Bowl bet, and people are like, "Oh, are you going to go to the tables?" No, I got to get a new remote for my TV, and I got to get cereal. And I went
there
to
you go.
and I
I've
went
got
to
a
Target,
box of cereal.
and I got my cereal.
Those two very important. You do have priorities.
Yes, and I went to Burger King because I was like, you know what? I haven't had a Whopper Jr. in a while, and I deserve it. And how much do you think a Whopper Jr. fries and a Diet Coke cost me?
$17.68.
No,
We're close though.
$9-10.
it was $11.
See, we're close.
for a Whopper Jr. and a Coke and a fry.
Just live off the land. It's free.
Yeah, maybe start
Plenty.
eating the mushrooms that are growing from the grass.
So for people, if you want to get out ahead of this, if you want to send Matt like plasma places that'll be open in July.
I did donate plasma
Not judging.
when
We
I
all
went to
have.
college during the summer. We would do it on a Monday because wing night was on a Wednesday. So I would donate and then let my body recover, and then we're ready to go for Wednesday wing night. It was good, man. It was like $60.
He was one of us.
It covered me for the night. Brothers and Sandy's.
Yeah, we've all been there.
That
We'll have
Elk
those
Creek water
stories
ain't
to
going to
tell.
pay for itself.
Yeah. So good luck to everybody out there today, and go Omaha Dome.
Oma
The
Dome.
Oma
Let's
Dome.
go.
The Oma Dome needs to kick in, but I believe that we're going to get hit by
2
something.
inches.
No, we got more
No,
coming.
We're gonna get
I know
Like
that's
Wednesday.
a lot.
Wednesday's
I
gonna
know
be a
2
big
inches is a
day.
ton,
Wednesday's
but
going.
we could be okay.
Wednesday's going to be such a dramatic snow event in this town. It's going to force me to go to South Dakota.
Where it's warm.
Finn
That's
says-
how big it's going to be.
Finn says in the comments, Matt is describing Whole Foods people, not Trader Joe's people. That's ditto. I think they both fall into the same group.
No. I'm more in tune with the Trader Joe's people. Like I go to Whole Foods. Whole Foods people are very snooty.
Yeah.
Like
I think a nice little pizza though. If you need
I-
a quick bite,
There's a lot of stuff to look at Whole Foods, and so I like to just look.
Yeah.
I like to look at my choices, but I feel like I get shunned because I'm not in like a rotation, and I'm not, getting. And
You're not a
I want to
regular.
stand. Yeah, I want to stand there and look at the different options that I've never heard of before.
It's like the Calvin Klein of grocery
Yeah.
stores,
Yeah,
like
and-
everything is way too expensive, but it looks really nice. And I can imagine myself
Yeah.
eating that organic rotini pasta, but I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm the guy that gets the side eye when I'm looking at the buffet, thinking, do I want that salad bar? And the person that is putting
You are a
Salad.
salad bar guy.
Salad
They got,
bars
a good,
are
they got a good
cool.
salad bar
You
at
are
Whole
such a
Foods. You know what? I don't judge. I go from Aldi to Hy-Vee to Walmart to Whole Foods to Trader Joe's. Fairway. I want to see the Fairway mascot.
There is a snootiness of some people
He was
who,
great on Super
depending
Bowl
on
Sunday.
what grocery store they go to. And I just think it's the dumbest thing to be snooty over. Good for you.
No,
good,
we're
good for
loyal
you.
to our grocery
Good,
stores.
good for you.
Like the
you
baker,
get
the
to be a
baker
little
guy
bit
and
healthier.
gal probably doesn't dabble at Hy-Vee.
No, I go to Hy-Vee.
No, but if you
Well,
work,
you got
at
all that
Baker's-
money.
I gotta save it, man. Keep making trips out to Warhorse. I'm gonna have to decrease from Hy-Vee to somewhere lower.
Someone help you.
No, I'm
Someone
kidding.
help you.
I'm kidding.
I got a disclaimer in one of my things here.
That's
you
right.
remember.
That's right.
Yeah, we have.
What was the other one called? 1-800-BETS OFF?
But here is, I know this person might be listening this morning because I've thought about this since I had interaction with him yesterday. It's that time of the year. It's the middle of February. I'm overcoming a cold. Do we not have like a general understanding that this is not handshake season?
Oh, great call.
I've not seen
Great
this person in a while, and I was at a store yesterday, and I saw them from afar. And again, I haven't seen them like a year and a half, and so I was excited to see him. And they immediately went with the handshake, and I was like,
Did you give it to him?
No, I turned the awkward
Here's
you
my
offer the
shoulder.
handshake to the fist bump. And they went with the open hand over my fist. And I'm like, wow, this is awkward, but I hope they understand. But as we were talking, I could see them like processing why I didn't shake their hand. Isn't it a general understanding that we are in no handshake season?
So here's another tip for you too. When you do the fist pump, instead of the knuckles going out, right?
Yeah.
You kind of want to actually tilt your hand up and give them the bottom, like kind of the butt of your hand here, right? And you hit the under part, so you get less surface
Yeah.
area. I'm serious. If you hit it like the pinky, you like fist bump with the pinky leading with the tilted up, you get less surface. I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
I don't know if
Like right there.
there would be a lot of awkwardness.
Just give a head nod.
Why don't you go with the Bash brother move, McGuire and Canseco, instead of the lift
put steroids inside?
shower,
you?
lift,
What-
lift the fist bump so you get the pinky.
a little bit. Yeah.
Boy, that would be really weird. Then they'd be like, oh, it's no handshake
okay.
season. We got people that are sick. We had schools that have been shut down here in Omaha for a day because people are sick. So it's no
That's
handshake
crazy.
season. But I thought about it because we had a good conversation. And he said, hey, let's get together for lunch. But as I was leaving, I was like, oh, I hope they understand that I don't shake hands this time of the year.
Isn't that crazy?
Because he went big. He went big handshake. He was like ready. I haven't seen you in a
He
while.
was ready to grab you, bring you
Yeah.
in, bear hug you. Yeah. Isn't it funny how human interaction works where you probably had like a full on, really, really good conversation, yet both of you can't get it out of your head that the initial interaction was slightly awkward. So you have to come onto a radio show and address it to be like, hey, hand up. I knew that was weird.
Well, I like him. We just we have different lifestyles, so we don't see each other very much. And it was like a surprise to see him. He was so excited. Like it was like that. You see that video during COVID of the two little boys
yes.
that are friends, but they've been separated and they're running towards each other. He was coming aggressively towards me, and I was like, "Oh, great to see you." I mean, I was excited to see him.
It was like Ned
But
Ryerson.
it was like people
Yeah.
might have been watching. They're like, that's kind of awkward. Do they know each other? Like, there's got to be a no. So
Phil?
I thought about
Phil?
it. Exactly. All right, welcome in everybody. We're off and running on a Tuesday. It is ball night here in Omaha. Frank Caliendo is in town. A lot of celebrities.
Nice.
I
I guess
Frank
a lot of
Caliendo.
local celebrities are gonna be at the Chai for the 8:00 tip-off tonight between
You?
Creighton and
You'll be there?
UConn. I'll be there.
Pretty intimidating, man.
So is Frank Caliendo just in town?
Yeah.
I
think so.
saw him with Coach McDermott, and he was doing the different impressions and everything like that, and he had the Creighton quarter zip on, and
But he's not performing anywhere, is he?
He might.
No, it's
be.
Red Pandas night.
He
But
might
like he's not. There's no show.
Let me look up.
Who's doing color with Bishop? Because I have an idea.
I don't know. This is that one game that's on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, because the Westminster Dog Show has got to go on.
Okay, so I'm
Hey,
gonna need
screw
two
the
TV
Westminster Dog Show. They I wanted to watch Nevada last night, and high knees working the Fresno State game,
Man,
and I got the Westminster Dog Show on. Speed that thing up, pups.
Here's my thing with the Westminster Dog Show. Like, how the hell do you get into that? And not only
Gotta be
how
a
the
dog.
hell, not the hell. Well, I'm talking about the owners. Not only am I like, how do you get into that as an owner, but like as a viewer, as a watcher, like who is buying tickets to the Westminster Dog Show?
Now it's a big deal in New
Mhm.
York City.
Mhm.
Like it's the elite of the elite. It's like one of
it
those
looks,
events.
It looks like it.
so many butts.
But those are
being sniffed.
and in your world, probably your Whole Foods, Trader Joe's
Yes,
people that
exactly.
are showing their dogs in the Westminster Dog Show. Now it's super competitive. It's super expensive. I like when normal dogs like mutts win.
Yeah. I saw a
I-
pug yesterday. I was rooting for that pug.
Pugs, I guess pugs have had a good run in the Westminster Dog Show.
But it was a little dystopian how
They're a
this
wagon.
woman was
Whoa.
like grabbing his legs and grabbing like the head and
Oh, it's a
like
big deal.
measuring it. And then like, I'll say this one
We
part I
did that
did
in
like,
college.
which was pretty killer, right? This is cutthroat. When they're all the dogs and the owners are standing on both sides, and
Yeah.
then that lady walks down the aisle and she like just picks out each
Oh,
dog
yeah.
that gets to advance. Right, it's kind of killer, right? You're standing there,
kinda
and she
like the
was
draft was.
She was kind of bluffing a little bit, like she'd walk by somebody, then she'd like pull back and be like, "No, you're in," and they thought they were out, and then she'd like be done walking, and then she'd take 2 more steps and pick another dog. I mean, she was milking it. She was milking it.
Yeah.
Frank Caliendo's only show is in Tempe, Arizona.
Okay, so maybe he's just in town for the game.
Maybe
Yeah.
he
There's
just
a-
likes the Jays.
Hey, a lot of people are telling you they're going to the game tonight.
Frank,
They're going to see
50th and
Cal. I'll
UConn
be there.
and Creighton.
I'll be there.
Drink a $1 beer once the gates open up until tip off.
Oh, till tip off,
Till
so
tip
not
off.
mid game.
No, so you got to
No.
really pound
Okay.
them.
But you got a lot of money, so
Yeah.
you'll be able to buy those big
Drink 3 for me. I'll think of
$20
you.
beers that you like to buy.
In the souvenir.
Yeah,
cup.
I only drink Fairy Nectar and hazy IPA during my Creighton basketball.
There's nothing wrong with drinking
experience.
those two.
Shout out Cross Strain.
I drink my Woodford Reserve double on the rocks in a glass in my seats.
2.5 point favorite tonight for Creighton at home against UConn, who is
Yeah.
not ranked. Creighton is now ranked, which the rankings in college
They're
basketball,
so stupid.
they have less importance every single day that goes by. But if you like a number in front of your name, Creighton has a number in front of the name. UConn is not. But here's the thing. I have to ask America, and in particular our listening audience here in Omaha, 1620 The Zone. There are a lot of things that I don't think America is ready for.
Yeah, I love this. I love where this is
Then
going.
there are a lot of things that America has embraced and are fully ready for.
Yeah,
I think about this because when I get up in the morning, a couple things I do right away. Some of those you guys don't need to know.
Yeah.
They're not illegal or anything.
triple S.
No, never in the morning.
Really?
No,
Okay.
never,
Fair enough.
never.
Don't have to get in an argument about it.
But I this time of the year, 33 days from Selection Sunday, I like to peruse the brackets, guys, that I like. I got a lot of them out there. I got a lot of bookmarks out there. So I like to look at them. I like to see where the 3 red, blue, and black Nebraska are all located. And I got to thinking, because this has been a topic, but no one's brought it up. And I don't know if America is ready for this. Hell, I don't even know if Omaha and the 402 are ready for this. Have we not fully discussed yet the possibility in a 7-10 game
Oh,
that
Lord.
Creighton and Nebraska could play in the opening round of the NCAA tournament in Wichita, Kansas? Dude,
the
does
irony.
Does America want Creighton and Nebraska to play in a
Wow.
7-10 game in the NCAA tournament?
Greg Marshall
Wow.
could
They-
sit in with Bishop to
and-
do color.
And I'm looking at bracket matrix right now, and that would be the matchup.
Well,
33 days from
well.
Selection Sunday.
That would be the matchup. If you're going off of like the 1-7, like just based off of like the math I'm doing here, it would be 7-10.
That means the A crew on
Nebraska.
CBS.
That is crazy. That would
I don't know that we
be
want
the
that.
most controversial. I mean, matchup.
Now, why would it be controversial?
Well, just because it's too in-state.
But they like storylines. so-
Exactly.
But
They
I
like
don't know. I don't know that I'd want that. I don't know if I was a Creighton fan, I'd want that. I don't know if I was a Nebraska fan, I would want
Well,
that.
I know why I wouldn't want it if I'm a Creighton fan.
Say it.
You could get beat twice in the same year, and the first ever Nebraska win in the NCAA tournament would be over Creighton.
Against you.
You might have to drop the program after that.
Ryan Kalkbrenner was Big East Player of the Year, but he's not the he wouldn't be the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Or the
He was
state
playing.
player
He was
of the
playing
year.
Nebraska every game. I'm just saying. I know why I'm being honest here. If I don't get what you're saying, because if I'm a Nebraska fan, I actually do kind of want to play that game.
I don't think so.
What do you have to lose?
I don't think you always have something to lose.
That's a good point.
I hate that phrase. You always have something to lose. I don't think either fan base would like that.
I agree.
Now, I don't know that America would really get fired up for Nebraska and Creighton playing in Wichita or Denver.
I mean, it won't be on the A block on ESPN.
I don't. It's one of those.
But it could happen if
I don't
Creighton
think
remains a 7 and Nebraska doesn't get out of the 10 range.
I don't think it would get as much run nationally as you would think and people would want it to. I don't think it would get the national run it deserves, because I don't think people realize how much tension there really is between the two sides with the whole Nebraska football and the Jay Skurs and how big that matchup is
We
every
have to explain that
every
to America
week.
again. And
there would be a lot. I don't think this. I know I'm being serious. I don't think the stakes from a national perspective would be really high, and I think from a local perspective, it would just be too stressful and the juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze. It'd be too much stress heading into the game. It'd be too much stress during the game. At the end of the game, I don't think you would necessarily be celebrating as much as you would be like, oh my God, thank God we didn't lose. The payoff wouldn't. I'm on course with you here. The payoff wouldn't be as high as maybe people would think.
Like a decade ago, let's have Nebraska and Creighton play in the second round in San Antonio. I don't know that. I like storylines. I'm going to give you one bracket here before we go to break. That is wild. I don't think we'd like that. I just don't.
I know.
I don't care the rivalry, whatever. I just don't think 7-seed Creighton playing 10-seed Nebraska and Wichita. Now, good luck to the other 6 teams that would be in that regional trying to buy tickets. Because Nebraska and Creighton fans within driving distance would
eat it.
They would buy up the tickets like that.
Lookouts, angles.
I don't know. I was just looking and thinking, man, this could possibly happen. And this time I'm not for it.
I think there would be people.
So Creighton, get to a 6, Nebraska get to a 9.
There would. You said that a little bit desperately, begging, please just do it. Just get out of the way. I know some people. One guy, one of my very good friends in particularly, who I went to. I'm just saying this. Last Creighton game I went with him, so he knows who he is because I know he's listening. He would love it. He would absolutely love it. He would want it. He'd be like, I want to knock the Jays out. I want to, if we could have our first ever Nebraska basketball tournament victory and it's over Creighton, oh my God, that'd be incredible. I think there would be other people who are definitely on your wavelength and my wavelength where it's like, man, I don't want to have that many gray hairs. I just want to go to the tournament, have a good time, win a game, and be over with it.
There would be the possibility if you won and it was your first. I mean, I just don't think America would want that. America's not clamoring for a Creighton, Nebraska opening round NCAA game.
Really wouldn't get.
I don't think
as much national run.
The 402 is not clamoring either. They just want both teams in the tournament. Now,
I wonder. Actually, I do kind of wonder. Email us at the Equitable Bank inbox, matt@1620thezone.com.
You own a bank?
He knows a guy.
You own a bank?
Would you be interested?
The Royals
in
still play at the K?
That might be a poll question. I don't know. We don't do a ton of poll questions here, but I would be there. I think you'd be surprised with how many people who would actually might want that.
All right,
it might be a couple.
The Athletic this morning has their little bracket out. Everybody's got a bracket.
Everybody's got a
people
bracket.
are
It's like a podcast.
Everybody. I was about to say everybody's got a podcast and everybody's got a bracket.
I appreciate the hustle. All right, go get yourself some. Okay, you're 24 years old and you're dating a 72-year-old football coach. Go get yourself some. It's all about the hustle. But man, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of Jimmys and Joes and Janes and Jills that just say, you know what? I'm a bracketologist.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a bracket. So
I love how it always comes back to Belichick and his really young girlfriend. I just like how that's always the circle back.
She looks so out of place in that Dumb Kings commercial.
She does, but she looks great.
And that's the takeaway.
I mean, that's the point.
Good on-
That's
exactly.
why she's in it.
Good on Bill. He's dating a North Carolina student.
Mhm.
The Athletic has Creighton as a 7. Okay, not playing Nebraska. They have an interesting bracket today. They have Nebraska as an 11
Okay.
in a play-in game.
Ooh. Against
North Carolina, who is
got their butts whooped last night.
yeah,
It
don't
wasn't even competitive.
Don't go to your alma mater. I thought they have Nebraska as an 11 seed in a play-in game, but here would be a better storyline and more excitement in the 402 instead of Nebraska and Creighton playing in the opening round. Nebraska and Omaha both being in Dayton because they have Omaha playing Little Rock in a 16 game.
That'd be great. I would enjoy that. I have family in Dayton. I would get out to Dayton. I'd stay at their place. I'd go to both games. That would be that's what we're calling the Matt McMaster bracket over there. That is the most ideal situation for me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I pay my way onto the Omaha Maverick plane. Hitch a ride with you and Coach Crutchfield.
Donate to the bull market.
But
So that's
Usually
the
the
athletic bracket, which might be the most ridiculous bracket I've seen in the last 24 hours. I mean, I can't. I don't know when. I don't know when they did it because they can't have North Carolina. North Carolina is about as far away from an NCAA tournament as I've seen a North Carolina team in a while. They might not make they might not make the tournament for the second time in 3 years. They don't really have any other games because they got beat by 20 last night at Clemson.
That was bad.
Hey, Jimmy, Clemson is beating Kansas in South Carolina away from beating the 4 Blue Bloods on their home floor. Crazy year for Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
But North Carolina is so far away from being an NCAA tournament team. But how about this? 2 times in the last 3 years, they could miss the tournament at North Carolina.
We should go back and look at when the last time that happened to a Blue Blood not named. I mean, it hasn't even happened to Indiana.
1831.
I don't know, man. It's going to get uncomfortable.
You look
but
at
they
Kentucky,
don't really have any opportunities to help their resume in that league.
You look at Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke. When was the last time one of those 4 teams missed the tournament? I know that Kentucky in the 2013, 2014 time period, they had a little bit of a rough go around when Nerlens Noel was playing there and he went down with some injuries. Like that might have been the last time you've seen a Blue Blood like that struggle for multiple seasons. But I watched that game yesterday. Yeah. They looked terrible.
Kansas
and they are entirely too reliant on RJ Davis, who I'm starting to feel bad for now because I actually think he's a good player, but it's just, I mean, he's running around, he's handling the basketball too much, and it's almost as if they don't know what they're doing on the offensive end. And
they sold their soul to Caleb Love,
who's not even on the team anymore.
Nate Oates, come on down.
They have no identity whatsoever. So the Athletic, I bring that up because of the Dayton thing, but that's the most ridiculous bracket I've seen online. Yeah, I didn't even look who the byline, who does the Athletic. I don't think it's not CJ Moore.
I don't think that's is that including
I've known him for a long time.
Was that made this morning, that Athletic bracket?
I read it this morning.
Now I gotta look.
Because if it's
North Carolina, can't have North Carolina.
After yesterday, they're done. They're out.
All right, coming up on the show, Sam McKeon will stop by in less than an hour. BC stops by, and we'll talk to Joe Arruda about UConn. That's the game tonight. Tip-off 8 o'clock downtown. There's a lot of stuff going on. Creighton is a 2.5-point favorite to try and win their 10th in a row as Danny Hurley is back. He is back in the building.
Don't turn your back on me!
The last time he was here, he was going to fight a student. Well, that student returned with boxing gloves, a robe, and his own bell to go ding, ding. Should be an electric night. We'll get into that when we come back. Plus, Luka made a debut last night, and the Mavs should just fold and move to Omaha. 6:37, off and running. Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in on a Tuesday. It's a hoop day in town. UConn is here. My guy, the guy that is great for the Big East, that is great for college basketball, that is fantastic that we get a Danny Hurley sighting. There are very few coaches that walk into a building or into a stadium as an opposing head coach that gets you riled up. When they do, you love them long time. Danny Hurley is in town with UConn as an underdog, not the ranked team, not the higher seed in any bracket out there.
You would think,
and it's going to be a gong show tonight in that building.
It is. Oh, it's going to be. I'm going to tell you right now. I can't stop saying it. I was so impressed with the Shy for the Marquette Creighton game. Like, they were dialed, they were in it, they were loud, and they were getting up and clapping at the right moments. They were like trying to turn momentum
Like
when
a good
Creighton
church.
needed it most. Like, the crowd really was understanding where the big moments of the game were, and it actually was really impressive to see, like, consistently like that happening at a stadium. I love it. I feel like Danny Hurley gets like as much hate as a coach who like hasn't won a national championship. They're like, you ask people about Danny Hurley and they say, oh, he's so cocky, oh, he's so arrogant, oh, he's so mean, oh, he's such a, mean word, whatever. Like, yeah. He's won back-to-back national championships. And not only has he won back-to-back national championships, he's dominated his way through the tournament twice against the best teams in the country. UConn not only won national championships, they killed everybody in their path 2 years in a row. He's got every right to be arrogant, every right to yell, every right to scream, every right to act that way, because you know what? That's how he coaches his team. That's how his team knows who he is, and that's how he wins games.
I don't think it's an act. I think that's who he is. And here's the other thing that I appreciate about him. He doesn't care what you think. He does not give an F about what you think about him. He only cares about his basketball program. And I'm all for the Danny Hurley experience. I don't know that this edition of UConn is built to handle everything that comes with him as the head coach.
Fair enough.
But tonight's kind of interesting.
It's a big night.
Liam McNeely is back. He scored 18, his first game back after being off an injury. But there are very few coaches in college sports right now that walk into a building or a stadium and you're immediately triggered. Like in the Big Ten, look in basketball in the Big Ten. Like the Big East has, I know it's been referenced as characters, and I don't know. I think that's disingenuous to say he's a character. Danny Hurley is a really good coach who's got a personality that is different from others. And that personality doesn't work everywhere. You have to have the right kind of the athlete and player that responds to that, because some might go into the fetal position and you're done.
Yeah.
But, guys that get people riled up like Shaka, Danny Hurley. Pitino is, I think, more subdued.
I think
since he came to St. John's, but he used to be one of the guys that when he'd walk into the building, he'd get riled up. But look in the Big Ten. How many guys in the Big Ten walk into PBA as an opposing head coach and you're immediately triggered?
Fran.
Is he the only one?
Greg Gard, maybe.
What about Willard?
I'll say this, and
Some of
this
the older
isn't just
ones.
a Nebraska thing, but I think Jawan Howard had definitely fallen out of favor with his antics, and
Mick
he's
Cronin
yelling
could
and
be that
screaming
kind of
toward
dude.
Mick Cronin might be a guy
Probably
now after the Nebraska game and the things, but they've won. Are they up to 7 in a row now? 6? I mean, they were.
I got a big game tonight.
Yeah, like I think it's just Fran and who. That's probably no longer going to be the case in the future. So there's one Greg Gard. No, that's it.
Football, Dion, and Fleck.
Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah,
Coach Ferentz.
Kirk is in that category. When he immediately walks into the stadium, you
Fleck, you're right.
You get triggered. But Hurley, nobody's on the level of Hurley. Like, because when Hurley walks onto the court
it's
a couple of
booze.
minutes before tip-off tonight, they will let him have it, and I hope they do.
Signetti.
Yeah.
I think
now.
Signetti now is after
if they-
this run. I think
If
he's
they
there.
put it together for a little bit
and
more, and he likes it.
Maybe Ryan Day.
See, Jimmy, you're right. Like, Signetti is one of those guys that he doesn't give an
He
F
doesn't
for what
care.
you care about him.
That's great
He
for
just
the drama.
He only cares about his football program.
Yeah, I think Sig, Kirk, Fleck, and Dion for sure.
Here is Andrew to kick off the morning. Ding, ding.
You guys are really honking me off.
Excuse me?
I'm really upset. With
Honking
you
you
guys.
off? What? We're not honking you.
picking me off. You really are.
What?
This is
Why?
nuts.
Why, Andrew? What did we do? What did we say?
Let me tell you, to say that it's all right that Creighton's a 7th seed. What the heck? They've won about 10 games in a row now.
9 to be correct.
9. Well, it will be 10 after tonight. But and then you're like, you act like Nebraska should be like a top 3 seed.
Well, I act like
God.
Nebraska beat Creighton. Oh wait,
wow.
Nebraska did beat Creighton. Oh my God,
Hey,
that's crazy. Did you
It's
forget
not a
about that?
sprint, it's a marathon, baby. Not a sprint, it's a marathon.
I want
You guys might not even be at the Big Ten.
I want to
You'll
say
go to that
something. Whoa,
stupid
Drew.
ground.
You're acting
What?
as if it's okay that Creighton is a 7 seed. We never said it was okay
No.
that Creighton was a
No,
7
it's
seed.
not okay.
We just talked about them being a 7 seed and Nebraska being a 10 seed, and currently in the bracket matrix, they are lined up to play each other. We didn't make any comments on whether or not that was correct. If anything, we later implored Creighton to not be a 7 seed because we don't really want that matchup. And in all case in point, you don't want that
It
matchup.
won't happen.
You don't want that matchup.
What is Ohio State, a 5 seed?
Ohio
Come
State,
on,
a
the Big
5
Ten
seed?
is-
No.
Getting way too much love. The Big Ten.
Compared to the
is
Big
getting-
East?
Yeah.
No.
No.
We do
Yeah.
not. The Big Ten does
The Big
not
Ten
have
will
the bottom
double. The Big
feeders.
Ten will double what the Big East is going to get into the tournament.
Well, they will because it's just favoritism.
Nebraska
League.
doesn't get to play Seton Hall and DePaul and Butler and Xavier
on. You're
and
out
these
there crap
mid
teams,
to
too.
just terrible Power 4 teams 5 games in a row. All right, you get to do that. You've won. Creighton has won 9 games in a row. They look really good. Kudos to them. No one's taken away from what they've accomplished. No one's taken away from Coach McDermott and what he's done. But this 9-game winning streak, a lot of it has been against really bad Power 4 teams. Granted, you beat UConn and you beat Marquette, so it's been validated. You guys are a really good team, but Big East is not that great of a conference. It's 4 top teams, and then it's a lot of bottom feeders.
Yeah, Big East will get 4. Only right now 4. Big Ten will get 10.
You guys you like Hurley?
Yes.
And Shaka Smart? He's half the time those guys are off the court. They shouldn't be on the court. Do you ever see Max try to block out one of their players?
Well, maybe you should try.
Well, it works, Andrew, because they've, one of those guys has been to a Final Four, and one of those guys has won 2 national championships. So clearly,
I can't stand either.
Well,
and Tim Miles is another guy that honks me off as well.
Why is
Tim
everybody
Miles
honking?
just caught us straight.
Yeah.
What is going
Why
on?
is everybody honking you off? What is honking you off? I've
I
never
don't
even
know.
heard of that.
It's a term I use.
Yeah.
Math.
Hey, have a $1 beer tonight, and you'll be fine, Andrew. And we got you on the board as predicting a victory.
All right, put that up there.
All right, thank you.
And another thing, Barry Collier.
Danny Nee! I can't believe that he turned down
While
playing
we're
this
at
game
it.
twice a year.
Those
All right.
ties.
Dana really pissed me off towards the end, too.
That friggin' Altman. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to Creighton is that Rick Johnson left. Why couldn't Rick Johnson just stayed a lot longer?
And while we're at it, Solich should have been the coach all the way up to Bo.
My God, Willis Reed. Willis Reed could still be at Creighton.
Why'd they even move out of the
Nah,
What
Civic?
were the Bulls doing firing Vinny Del Negro?
Maybe not. Maybe not about
Vinny.
See, this is what we would get if we get a 7-10 game in Wichita, Kansas. We'd get Andrew handing off the baton to Nebraska ball Mike. Hello.
Barry,
Hello, yes.
hi.
Hi.
Did Cooper Jean steal your common sense when he picked that ball off?
What? Wait,
Hold on.
whoa. We're on to the 2025 season. Everybody's 0-0. What are you talking about?
You're dreaming.
No,
You're not. I gave you a day off for recovery, and then you dropped out on me. Stop it. What happened last year? in
I'm
the
totally
tournament?
confused. I'm
What
confused
happened
why
last
they.
year in the tournament?
What?
What?
What happened last year in the tournament?
Nebraska lost to Texas A&M?
Who did we play,
Texas A&M.
and why did we play them?
Why did
Oh, I see where you're going. Like the storyline.
If we already beat Creighton and we already beat Dana, why do I want anything to do with Creighton in the NCAA tournament? Why?
I
There is no
gotta
reason.
avoid
to play
West
them twice.
Virginia.
We beat them.
Avoid High
They wouldn't
Point.
want to play us twice if they kicked our ass either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
Creighton, your job is to win about 15 in a row, get to a 5 seed, and let us handle us. We're not beating Maryland.
Oh,
But
Wow. That took a turn.
I was
We're
excited.
not beating Maryland. We don't have the bodies.
Well,
We don't have the bodies or the depth to do this.
put
Not
some respect on
against that guy
PBA
who
magic.
put up 20 like he was walking into sleep
Yes,
and woke up and had a good dream.
You mean hold on here, Mr. Optimistic.
Thank you.
Optimist. You just hold on. Okay.
Will call?
You mean that the Turkish destroyer being out, that it's going to change?
Could score 10 to 12 and take fouls.
How is Cooper DeJean in this discussion? Wait a minute.
How is Cooper DeJean in this discussion? Once that pick happened, you lost your mind. That's what
They
happened.
lost. They got their ass kicked. I'm on to basketball. All right. We ain't going to have a parade.
This is a bad episode of
Oh.
Always Sunny.
All right.
Are you in town next Monday?
Uh,
Are you in town next Monday?
my head is spinning. Yes.
I will be in studio next Monday if I have permission.
Yeah, you do.
I will bring donuts.
Oh, let's go.
Done.
Perfect.
Done.
Perfect.
What is the thing with the yellow label that I see you drinking on YouTube?
Yeah, Milos. Iced tea.
Topo Chico.
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea. All right, it looks like chocolate milk. It's sweet tea. Okay.
Yeah. You don't need
But
to
no,
bring that.
Andrew, we don't want any part of this.
All right.
We don't want any part of this.
Okay.
Hey, and Dana, I'm sorry,
Why?
but the last time Nebraska beat Dana and Creighton in the same year, Dana was at Kansas State.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a good little nugget there.
That is.
That was a long time ago.
So I don't want anything to do with the team in Omaha.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right.
He
Just-
wants to call me a coward or chicken, whatever. I don't
people
want
are.
him. We
Hey,
beat him.
just do yourself and you'll be fine.
Before you do others.
Then Creighton, do you and go beat UConn tonight.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Mike. We'll see you on Monday.
All right.
J. Skirt Mike.
Ooh.
See, this is what
Look
happens.
what you started. I love it.
Hey, I'm telling you, that Friday show back in 2014 was epic. It was off the friggin' chain.
It doesn't even sound
and then
like.
it went from Creighton, Nebraska playing in the same venue in the tournament to listener on listener crime.
You tell that story. It's not like you even did a radio show. It's just like you just sat back.
You and
Yeah.
Damon
You
just
let
sat
people
back.
talk.
We did.
enjoy a
We're like,
drink.
okay, we got to go to a break. We'll be back with 17 people that are lined up to get on the show.
You were
Part
you
of
were
me
a
would
fine
want
ball.
that. Part of me would want that. Part of me would want that chaos. That chaos would be good. Be good, man. Some people need to catch strays. You know, some people
Well,
need to be.
Dana
made fun
Altman and Tim Miles have caught strays in the first hour of the show this morning. Not sure why.
of. Cooper DeJean has been talked about more than Burkay butane gel.
Yeah, well,
I almost said Buque Burkay
Yeah.
gel.
speaking of Iowa, bad look last night at PBA. Bad look.
No bueno.
Bad look. People
No
were
bueno.
chanting, "Go Hawks."
No bueno.
Yep.
Caught
Who was Atlanta playing last night?
Caught Connor Happer too on the big screen on the TV, like at the very end of the game when they were doing. I was like shaking
he
the
was
hands
staring
going
at,
off. He was
Kate
staring
Gosselin.
at the huddle. He looked
Ooh,
mad.
he wanted some of that.
Hey, he
smoke.
said he said they're in trouble. They got kicked last night. Well,
No, it wasn't good.
we'll share a couple of thoughts. If you hadn't watched women's basketball year, you're reminded about two things, and then the "Let's Go Hawks" chant at PBA. They share Iowa and Nebraska share a similarity when it comes to that chant. We'll get into that. Sam McCune's coming up at 7:30. I'm sure he's got a thought or two. Nebraska women have lost 3 in a row. They hit a little bit of a rut. They got to get out of it quickly after falling to Iowa last night at PBA to fall to 7-6 in the Big Ten. Brian Christopherson stops by, and we will talk extensively about the big game tonight in town, UConn and Creighton. and the absolute gong show that could ensue will make one faction happy. The other will probably be like, this isn't what we do at Creighton. I don't care. Do you.
Do you.
Do you.
Do you.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, 33 days from today is Selection Sunday. Let the fun ensue. Good night of ball tonight. Not only UConn and Creighton at 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. They get the rare Big East games that they do. They do such a great job with the Big East games when they carry them. And somehow they got the UConn Creighton game tonight at 8 o'clock. But it's a good night of ball.
Is DePaul off?
I checked.
No, DePaul's playing today.
Why isn't the official network of DePaul doing that game?
No clue. DePaul's playing Marquette, and it's on the Peacock.
Jeez. So we get CBS Sports Network tonight. But a good night of ball.
Great
Purdue
night
is
of
at
ball.
Michigan, UCLA is at Illinois, and Tennessee is at Kentucky.
And Florida's at Mississippi State. That should be a good game, too. Mississippi State only a 1.5 dog in that one after Florida beat number 1 Auburn.
Creighton's a 2.5 point favorite tonight against UConn. Alex says Milwaukee, Wichita, or Denver will be a ton of red if they get one of those 3 sites. 19 gets them in, right? I'm thinking, yes, bubble historically soft. Yes, the bubble is so it does help to
The bubble is Danny.
Hey, he didn't need the bubble.
No, he didn't. He just got in.
He
just kicked the door down.
He was the GOAT, man. I love Danny Nee. But so Nebraska has 7 left. I think 4 and 3 gets them to maybe a 9, but they're in a good spot if they can go 4 and 3. But they have to navigate now with Berke out of the lineup for a little bit to see how long he'll be out and what they do to make up for that. Because Thursday night will be a challenge. Mr. Queen probably is not happy. The first time he played, Nebraska only had 4 points. But there is this year, like there was a ton of red in Memphis last year for the NCAA tournament. Milwaukee, Wichita, or Denver, where that'll be where Creighton and Nebraska would go. Probably not to the same place, even though we would enjoy that. There will be a lot of fans that will go within driving distance. I think Creighton fans would prefer Denver. They don't want to go to Wichita.
So
They've been to Wichita too many times. I think Nebraska fans would like to go to Milwaukee.
I was going to say that. I was going to say I would
We got their
prefer
climate today.
to go to Milwaukee. You want to watch a game at the Pfizer Forum.
The
You
Deer
do.
District.
Like you want to watch.
Whoa.
That's actually a fun trip. You go if you can drive out there to Milwaukee. Like it's not awful. Like you can do it, or you can fly into O'Hare and then you drive up from O'Hare to Milwaukee. You go and stay at the Pfister or a nice hotel.
It's haunted.
It is haunted, but Pfister's a great hotel. You've stayed.
Not all of us. Yes, I have. Not all of us have your money. You got to keep in mind, man. There's a blue collar town. We don't have a lot to spend. I mean, that's the reason the game is sold out today, because we got dollar beers. People are like, oh man, I haven't drank in months, but I can go drink dollar beers for 90 minutes at the Chai. I don't care if my ticket's going to cost me $75. I'm going to be able to drink some beer.
Groceries expensive.
We don't have your money.
No,
So
Milwaukee.
we got to stay. We got to stay at the Motel 6 where Dahmer may have visited.
American.
I don't think you have to stay at the Motel 6. Maybe a Holiday Inn or a nice Marriott in Milwaukee. Yes, the Pfister is pretty rich in blood, but it's a nice hotel to stay at. Regardless, Milwaukee is a great place to watch a game. Pfizer Forum is elite. Is an elite place to watch a basketball game.
Mecca.
And it's also one of the very rare stadiums.
It's just so cool that that's still standing across the street.
What?
The Mecca.
The Mecca.
But still, one of the very rare stadiums you can stay like for that entire 8 hours. If you're doing like the 2 phases, because like the round of 64 and then like you have the 2 early games and they take a break and then you have the 2 later games,
Mhm.
right? Like you can stay that entire time and you can just hang out and just go to the different places and eat and hang out, and they have lounging areas and the seats are
inside
nice.
the arena.
Inside the
No,
arena.
they don't kick you out of the arena. Okay.
No, they don't kick you out. You can get a wristband. You can stay in there, and it's like big enough, and the facilities are nice enough where you can stay there the entire time.
It looks great on TV. I've never,
awesome.
I've not been to the new one. I went to the old one, which
Bradley Center.
yeah.
Bradley Center was nice too. I
the
like
Bradley
the
Center was nice.
I enjoyed the Bradley Center every time we went.
Joey writes in about the NCAA tournament. 33 days from now is Selection Sunday. We hope that all 3 are in. Omaha's path is a little bit trickier because they have to win 3 games in Sioux Falls. One of them will be a road game against South Dakota State to get to the NCAA tournament. I don't want to see another Creighton-Nebraska game this year, because if Nebraska wins again, then we'll have to hear that from Creighton fans about Kalkbrenner sick or something. I kid. I really just want all 3 Nebraska teams in, which I still bet on happening. It's a big week for Omaha men's basketball. They could split. I mean, I'd like to have 2, but if they could split, they have 3 basically to win 1 to get the number 1 seed.
Like
And
the
you
old
would
Freedom
avoid
82.
you could avoid South Dakota State and St. Thomas probably until the final. But the Summit League tournament's going to be really good this year. But prepare yourself. Omaha athletic fans, prepare yourself to get ticked off at pairwise when it comes to hockey, and then also to get ticked off that the tournament being held in Sioux Falls is a distinct advantage for South Dakota State. I'm not getting ahead of things here. John writes in about Andrew. My drive to work this morning consisted of Andrew and Nebraska Ball Mike. What in the hell is going on? People are clamoring on the old interwebs that we should have Nebraska Ball Mike and Andrew in studio together. And it's just those two. We sit back and officiate.
I'm down.
Is the Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls or Brookings?
Sioux Falls.
Is in Sioux Falls? Okay.
Cold.
Gotcha. But
that'd be wild if it was in Brookings.
yeah,
That would be.
Where would y'all stay? A car? The bus?
Trust me. Off of Interstate 29, there is 3 hotels. That's where everybody stays.
No fisters.
That'd be
Yeah.
crazy. No fisters.
No, they don't-
In
they don't
Brookings,
have
South
any-
Dakota.
They don't have any fisters in Brookings.
Now, if St. Thomas makes the Summit League Conference Championship game,
Yep.
regardless of result, the other team that they play gets into the NCAA.
No, if you win the regular season.
Oh,
So if Omaha wins the regular season, then if St. Thomas wins the conference tournament, Omaha goes to the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
Wow,
So-
that's good to know.
So
That's
the
good.
league,
I didn't know that.
So the league is avoiding that because there will be an outrage, but they have not made a public statement about how this is going to work.
So if a team like, let's just hypothetically say Denver makes a miracle run to the
Mhm.
Summit League tournament or Summit League final, and they play St. Thomas, and St. Thomas beats them, the winner, Denver
get
doesn't get
t-shirts.
in.
Denver
It's
does not get in.
Wow.
But the league has avoided that. That's the
Comma.
elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Because if St. Thomas wins the conference tournament, because next year they'll find out in the middle of the summer, but usually it's a 5-year waiting period. I mean, they went from Division III to Division I. It looks like they'll be eligible next year, so 1 year early. But if they do it this year, there will be an outrage.
Yeah.
It'll be just like James Madison. Remember when Signetti was at James Madison?
Yes, and there was the whole
Yeah.
petition, and there was
Uh-huh.
people in DC. They were trying to go through the courts, right,
Yep.
to let him be able to play.
So
Wish you well.
it could be really uncomfortable for the Summit League. So,
Oh
but
my
they
God.
haven't come out and explained it. It just it's an elephant in the room.
But more reason for Omaha to win the regular
That's
season title.
That's kind of the discussion point.
Can you imagine too, like a team like North Dakota State would beat Omaha to get into the championship game just to lose to St. Thomas and then have Omaha?
Yeah, that'd
be-
really suck, boy. Oh, that'd be awful.
No. I'm just saying
That'd
for
be
the
awful,
outlook. It'd be a
terrible.
bad-
So
no,
root
I
for the
mean,
Mavs and then root
Care.
for the Tommies and just kind of okay.
The league doesn't want Omaha to be successful.
More reason to root for the Mavs.
I love that.
Yeah.
Omaha against everybody.
Omaha
man.
Raiders.
Omaha against everybody.
That's
Just win, baby.
that's the mindset.
Just win, baby.
I got Happer busting my balls yesterday. He looks, hey, Ken Palm said you're going to lose the next 3.
Yeah, he did subtly drop that
Yeah.
towards you.
Yeah.
And you didn't take the bait. I was
Yeah.
proud of you there.
I
Is he
hope-
wearing his Creighton shirt?
No, he was a Nebraska guy yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He switches.
I don't know. Maybe
He goes back and forth.
Happer is not on Happerson women's basketball at Nebraska is going. So maybe he might be onto something. Doug writes into his own inbox, the Equitable Bank inbox. Stop out there on Pierce Street and say hello to Doug today. You know Doug owns a bank.
I did know that.
He is the bank president there
I got
at Equitable
alpha
Bank.
by Doug in our picture.
You got outed?
Alpha.
Oh,
Wow.
Like the
You
way
guys
he
look-
took
you
the
look good.
picture, he just looked way taller and way larger and way
he is a
stronger.
rather tall guy.
He is a tall guy,
Yeah.
but I look
look
like a
good.
little boy, like standing right next to him.
You're scrawny.
You are
I'm
young.
not scrawny.
You're
I'm
scrawny.
not scrawny at all.
Yeah, you're scrawny.
I am not. I'm pretty. I'm not.
Oh,
like-
look at that. Doug took a kid to the game. It's very nice.
That's a hell of a promotion. Instead of taking you to the bank, he took you to a Creighton game.
Hell.
Takes a kid to the
promotion.
bank.
You said if Nebraska
to
Ball
the
Mike
game.
gets on the air next Monday, then I'll be there as well.
Yes.
We're
Oh,
full
wow.
studio. We have a lot of donuts
Wow.
here. The Big East is not that good this year, but the Big Ten is not that good either. Yes, they'll get 10 teams in, but pretty pedestrian. The best conference by far this year is the SEC, followed by the Big 12, then the Big 10.
I'm pretty sure the Big Ten has more teams in the top 50 in the net than the Big 12.
The SEC will get 13 in, probably. The Big 10 will get 10 in. The Big 12 will get 7.
Yeah.
I mean, the ACC probably will get more teams in than the Big East.
More teams?
5 to 4.
Yeah.
That's I did the math. I think that is more.
Yep.
Creighton at a 7 is an insult. They are a legit 4-5. Look at their non-conference schedule. Yeah, they had a few bad losses.
Yeah, there you go, Doug.
Nebraska, San Diego State. They did not lose to UNLV. They beat KU, UConn at UConn, ending their 28-game winning streak. How is KU ranked ahead of Creighton?
And I replied to him on the email and said it's because their jersey says Kansas, but they're not that good. It's all right. Just win.
Forget about the rankings in basketball.
Yeah.
There's somebody that yesterday, I mean, there's a lot of oddities of the voting. Somebody yesterday dropped Marquette but didn't move up St. John's. It's the ratings, and especially in that sport where you're not using the AP poll to determine where somebody's going to be in the NCAA tournament. Give it a passing glance. You turn on the TV and you see a number in front of your name. I don't care about the rankings. They have less importance today than they ever have.
Maryland,
isn't Maryland still ranked?
Maryland's 25.
Okay.
They were 18. But they lose to Ohio State on a miracle comeback buzzer beater banking 3 by Bruce Thornton. And it was a hell of a victory from Ohio State. For them to lose that game that close on the road against a tournament type team and drop 7 spots. Did anyone watch that game? No. There's no reason why they just go, oh, Maryland lost to Ohio State, so they should be ranked out of the rankings or very near out of the rankings. But if Maryland barely beat Ohio State, what would they be ranked today? Probably 15, 14?
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious when you look at the rankings that a lot, and I'm not accusing everybody who does that AP poll, but a lot of those people either just look at the box scores or don't really watch games or just aren't paying too much attention to what really is going on. So I couldn't agree more.
The Creighton, unfortunately, is getting dinged for Vegas and earlier in the year and not rewarded. We talked about this last week. I said, how come they're not being acknowledged for this run they have been on? They're also getting dinged by the Big East doesn't have, UConn isn't sitting on a 1 line. Marquette is this. I just brought up the USA Today bracket. Marquette is the last 3 seed. So that's the top Big East team. And then St. John's at 5, Creighton's at 7. UConn
is at 8 on bracket matrix right now that I'm looking at. UConn though can get as high as 10 in some brackets I'm seeing here, and the lowest they're 6. UConn is 6 to 10 according to bracket matrix. So
he's got him. So Shelby has Creighton and UConn both at 7 in this. Creighton could probably get up to a 6, but that is probably their ceiling. But unless they have some bad losses, which they have the potential for in the remaining schedule, but that's just Creighton doesn't start racking up losses to Seton Hall and DePaul. They're probably 6, 7, or 8 is probably where Creighton will be. But if you're looking at them bumping to a 6 line, who are they knocking out? Creighton has to be a Nebraska fan on Thursday night. Root for Nebraska to beat Maryland because Maryland in some of these brackets are as a 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a couple other emails here into the Equitable Bank inbox. John says, about last night's women's game. He said, I was at the game, a little bit disappointed in the way that Nebraska played, but can we talk about officiating? And left it at that. So there are a couple of things about women's basketball, and this is a sport that has to correct this problem because there are more people watching women's basketball. If you go back to the final between LSU and Iowa a couple of years ago, the officiating in the national championship game, atrocious. And you had so many eyeballs on it, watching Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and those 2 programs playing. So they decided that, there's a lot of favoritism on who gets good games in women's basketball, and the pay is not the same. So they looked at that, and they were supposed to up that and make officiating better. But I think women's basketball has a problem. The officiating is not as good as the talent on the floor. I just think athletically, the officials that work women's basketball, for the most part, can't keep up with the game, and they're very slow. And I think it impacts the game, and that's not fair to the people that are playing women's basketball.
I agree.
Because that sport deserves better officiating, and it is not getting good officiating. And what happens? More people watch, and they're like, whoa, this is bad. Yes, it's bad. Last night was touch foul central.
And that's what that's what happens too much in women's basketball, in my opinion. That it's like you said, and maybe there's a little bit of I don't want to say it's flopping, but I think some of the players are aware of the fact that if there is very minimal contact and they can play into that and they're close to the rim, that they can get to the free throw line. And it's almost as if it's become a part of the game. Whereas if you're under the basket and you have a defender on you, you can kind of nudge in and get yourself to the line. From a viewing product, it's, you don't want 12 seconds stop, 13 seconds stop, 18 seconds stop. That's just the worst type of basketball to view.
It seems like women's basketball rewards somebody making a play over a good. Markowski would be somebody who would be difficult to officiate because she's physical, and there are times where, because of her size, she does get some calls, and then the other times she doesn't.
Well,
I think in the women's sport, they reward players for a bad play more than they reward players for making a good play when they blow the whistle.
I think with her, she's taller and stronger than a lot of people that she's playing against. And credit to Amy Williams, she does a pretty good job of getting Alexis Markowski into positions on the floor that are advantageous to her in terms of matchups. And it's a little bit like, and I know you're comparing, men's basketball to women's basketball, but it was a little bit similar with Zach Edey, right? Where it's like he was so much bigger and so much stronger than players that referees had a tough time. You would have one crew that would basically let him maul Zach and hit him and really get on him. And then you had other crews that were like, well, he's getting mauled, we're going to blow the whistle. It kind of sometimes plays that way with Alexis Markowski, but that's just a part of her game. And, that's why she plays. I mean, she's a really, really good player, and that's how she's been playing the minute and then she's come to Nebraska. But I agree. It's just a little bit, it's touch and go, and it's just too soft. And you're right. It's hard to keep up. And when you're playing that stop style, no one's going to want to watch it. And we're at the point where Iowa basketball is still getting a lot of eyes on their product because of the skill. You know some of those players from last year's teams and the year's previous teams because of Caitlin Clark and the run that they went on, that there are people who became Iowa basketball fans because of the run that they went on the last couple of years. And when you're watching that product more and more and you see that officiating happening, it's gonna make you not want to consistently sit down and watch it and give you a bad taste in your mouth.
See, I think the Iowa women's basketball fan and the Nebraska volleyball fan should have the handshake meme.
I agree.
They are very loyal. They are very knowledgeable. They are very passionate. They will follow their team. Look at Nebraska volleyball. Look, for example, when Nebraska volleyball goes over to Iowa and they play in Coralville in that arena that Iowa volleyball is in. It's basically a Nebraska home game. And the Nebraska fans, they got a lot of GBR. What happened last night?
Yeah.
Let's go Hawks. At PBA. And what it has done is a lot longer run of success for Nebraska volleyball to build a fan base. The Iowa fan base with Caitlin Clark, the loyalists have stuck together. I mean, they had quite a few Iowa fans in there on a Monday night. And I don't think they were like, hey, we're all from Fremont supporting McCabe. They were like, they like follow the Iowa women's team, just like the Nebraska volleyball fan does. The Nebraska volleyball fan will go all over the country following their team. So I think they're both fan bases share that similarity. Jimmy, I got a question for you because you have done more women's basketball than any of us in this building.
Sure.
This is true.
Even though last night it was good to see Angela Beck, former Nebraska women's basketball coach, was there. They have the Girls in Sports thing today. Karen Jennings, who fabulous player. My favorite Angela Beck story, because I dabbled doing some women's basketball at Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Playing at Oklahoma. And Angela was pretty fiery. Angela would say whatever. I haven't talked to Angela in a while, but we had a good relationship, but she got after it. She split her pants right in front of me, arguing with an official.
See, my coach was male, so I didn't want to see that.
Yeah, it was awkward.
But
it was good to see Coach Beck at PBA last night.
I announced a good amount of Nebraska women's basketball and went to a good amount of Nebraska women's basketball games when I was a student. I was always so impressed with Amy Williams' ability to jump up and down and yell at a referee and work calls with her high heels on. That's always impressive. Like how she was athletic, like she is athletic with high heels on. I was always astounded. She would literally get up 8 inches in the air and land down perfectly. But yeah, what's your opinion on this?
I've done a lot of games with Kim Mulkey in the building, and I could see someone just stomp on the floor with stilettos, and always wonder how did that heel break? But yet she had and this was pre LSU Kim Mulkey, obviously, because she was at Baylor, so the boas and all that wasn't a thing yet. Just angry coach, and just like all the others, but.
But on the calls, on like the officiating on women's basketball, like is that something that you've noticed, or like are we kind of on the right track there?
It started becoming a thing my last year, as far as it really enhanced in the argument, and you would see fluctuations from crews. We knew the ones that were good later in the season, and we knew the ones that, well, they're going to be it's going to be a rough night with the whistle. So yes, this is a thing. And then we talked about it on this show here after those championship games the past couple of years, where they got to do something, because it's hurting the game.
Yeah. Well, I'll take a quick break. We are off the air, I believe, on the stream, according to listeners. So let's look into that. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Sam McEwen slated to join us within the hour on Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. A couple of things here for the tech heads out there. For all the people that are watching on 1620 The Zone TV or the app, we're good. Hello.
Yeah, good morning. Hi.
Thank you. If you are on the regular radio,
You can't hear
like
us.
in your car, you're like, where did they go? So I believe that we are efforting to figure that out. So we apologize, but we are up on the stream.
Yeah.
So pull out that app. Pull out your computer while you're in the car.
Well, tell your friends who are in the radio who are listening to Dead Air thinking, what the heck is going on with 1620? Text them and say, hey, they're up on the Zone TV and have them switch over.
Also, they're trying to remedy getting the Dead Air sponsored, so at least we can make some money while we're not making money.
So we are working on it. We apologize, but we're up on the Zone TV.
It's not AM radio.
And the app. Before we went to break to try and rectify the situation, I was also going to ask you, I think part of women's basketball, and it's not a takeaway from last night's game, is if you're in shape. The teams in women's basketball that are in shape and the teams that are not, there is a distinct difference.
Yep.
And I think, too, you could tell the teams that are physical as well. I think there's like a certain physicality too that if you're at least that I've seen in watching, like there is a difference between teams
who
are
play.
Yeah, who are willing to like go for every ball, willing to be 50-50, willing to put an elbow in somebody, willing to like go after it. Those are the two distinct differences. The athleticism, the in shapeness, and like just the willingness to like, no, we want to win, you know? I think those are big things.
Well, we're working to get the tower and the squirrels running again. But again, everybody on 1620 The Zone TV, the app, and everywhere else that you can get us, X, Facebook, we're good there. We'll talk to Sam McKeown, the World Herald. Well, he's good. He's coming up next. All right, on a Tuesday morning, we welcome in a good friend from the Omaha World Herald, Sam McEwen. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Much. Let's first start here because you covered Nebraska women's basketball and you are a fan of women's basketball. How do they get out of this funk that it seems they're in right now?
Hard to say. I think sometimes you just need the right thing to happen, and you need to play a game where things start well, and you're playing well from the very jump. You get a early 10, 12 point lead. They haven't done that. They haven't done that in a while. It's an issue that they're going to have to find a way to overcome because they are in a rut. And you can see this in college basketball in general, men's and women's. Sometimes late January, February, it's hard because classes are back in schedule, and you're playing 2 to 3 games a week, and you're traveling a lot, and it's just a lot. It's tough, and so that's something that Nebraska is going to have to work through. I've seen them have teams that got through that, and I've seen them have teams that struggle to get over the hump. So we'll see. They're in a tough spot. Obviously, they know that, and they're down 2 players.
Yeah,
two of their 6 best players are out for the season, and that makes it hard. So we'll see how many more wins they're able to rattle off. They probably need to get to 20 at this point. I thought maybe 19 had been enough, but at this point, it might have to be 20 to make the NCAA tournament, and that could be challenging.
Sam, let's go from women's basketball to men's basketball. Last year, it was pretty, for the most part, smooth sailing for Nebraska men's basketball. They went through a couple ups and downs and the difficulty of winning games on the road, but for the most part, they went through that season knowing that they were going to be in the NCAA tournament. This season has not been that at all. I mean, that major bump of the road, the 6-game skid. But I want to ask you this. Fred Hoiberg has done a great job turning this season around from the point where they looked dead in the water, they looked cooked, they look like they're not going to make the tournament, to the point now where they're firmly back in that discussion and even could get past that 10-seed mark. More impressive coaching job, Fred Hoiberg from last year or Fred Hoiberg turning around this ship this season?
I think he's probably pushed a few more buttons this year. And I think they assembled a really nice roster last year. And the one thing he couldn't control was Rink Mast getting hurt. And so, if Mast had come back this year, they may not have added an additional player. Maybe they would have, but they would have had, one of their most important players available, and they didn't have it. So I think they knew that this season was going to be a little bit different without Casey and without Mast. And he's probably had to push a few buttons. I think he's had 7 starting lineups. 7 different ones, and he had to have for him had to have a fiery press conference before the Illinois game and got it done. But yeah, I think he's had a good coaching job this year. You will never hear him say it.
Yeah,
he deflects all the credit, which is fine. That's who he is. It's just his nature and his personality. I do think, and his assistants don't talk much. So I don't know that you're going to hear anybody crow about it unless it be the players or it be the media. But I do think he's coached a fine season this year and deserves some credit for doing it.
Yeah, and now it comes the next phase with Berkay out for a bit on what he's going to do with his rotation. So that's the next challenge. And by the way, it's not Northwestern. That's the next game after Maryland. It's Maryland up first on Thursday night, and missing a guy like that impacts
massive.
I mean, this will be another Fred Hoiberg special. He'll have to sprinkle the dust on this one on Thursday.
That's right. That's absolutely right. The only solace you get is Maryland is an inconsistent team, and so they may come in and they just may not make shots. And, Julian Reese is a really good player, but sometimes they don't make things about him. They go to different guys and they got a nice freshman, but sometimes he'll try to take over when Reese probably should be the guy that does. And so that's one thing, is that Nebraska will have a team that I think Nebraska thinks it can beat in their own building. And if you can get on top of them early and force them to have to make some shots, they're not a great shooting team. So I think they can win on Thursday. And then I don't know what kind of crowd they're going to get based on the snow, but then you go to Northwestern, and Northwestern's actually been historically a tough place for Nebraska to play. So that will be a game worth watching because Nebraska has not exactly lit it up in whatever they call that arena now.
Welsh Ryan.
Yeah.
You had Northwestern guy on the show.
Welsh Ryan
They've
Arena.
struggled. I mean, they've struggled at
Oh,
that arena.
yeah.
They haven't done anything there.
Northwestern's banged up though right now. I mean, Northwestern's kind of dead in the water. But you're right. Welsh Ryan Arena is a tough place to play. I mean, that place is sunken in, and it becomes a real echo chamber if it gets too loud.
Hey, let's you had a good Q&A and full of information in your chat with Troy Dannon, but there's a lot of things on the horizon. There's a lot of stuff happening in his world, but now the focus is about the stadium that 90,000 people walk into every Saturday. Sam, you've been to Iowa City, you've been to Madison, so you've seen their quote unquote end zone projects that are finished. Penn State just kicked off their $700 million, whatever they're doing with their stadium, which the erector set in State College needs it. All that stuff happened pretty quickly in Iowa City, Madison, and State College. Why does it seem this project here has taken so long and we haven't even started yet?
That's a great question. I think there's a couple reasons. One, there was a football building to complete, and that took up at least some of the donor dollars, and sort of got first in line, so to speak. And so the stadium project wasn't done right away. Two, I think Nebraska has tried to have a very honest conversation about NIL. Not that Penn State's not paying players, but I think Nebraska's tried to emphasize that and prioritize that with its donor class, and then there's there's a little bit of Trev had one vision. I think the vision has changed. His vision in some ways was a thank you to the fans that had spent all those years in South Stadium and to the students. And the new vision is going to be probably more focused on revenue generation, probably to Nebraska's benefit. They will focus more on monetizing and sprucing up the best seats in West and East. And I think they will redo South Stadium, but I don't know that it's going to be what it was going to be. And so I think they're still sort of putting the finishing touches on that. And then, you have to fundraise in what I think most people would describe as a wintry, climate, economically. I mean, and we don't need to go off into the tangent on that, but I'm just saying that this isn't, I think the prices of things have gone up, and the prices of building these things have gone up. Kansas probably got it locked in, for example, before everything kind of shot up. And so, there's lots of considerations. I think Dannon's been very thoughtful about it. The one thing you could say is, well, should they have had a different vision originally? Should Trev have had the vision that Dannon has now? If he had, would we be further along on the development timeline? But I do think it's going to be until 2028, 2027, 2028, when you're going to see the whole thing complete. 2028, actually, because I think the 2026 season will go as planned, and then they'll probably take it down for 27, renovate it, then put the south scoreboard up, then put the grass in. So I think by 2028 is when you're going to see the stadium that people envision. But it's going to be a while.
Sam, Oregon State announced yesterday that they're going to go with an athlete's fee for their ticket prices. They're going to be charging an extra $3 on their upcoming athletic events in order to generate more revenue that will go directly into paying players. They're joining Tennessee and some other schools. Is that something that you maybe foresee Nebraska doing in the future, or you see more Big Ten teams doing in the future?
I don't foresee Nebraska raising football ticket prices until the renovation is over. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about donation numbers, right? So what you may see is there may be a donation that folds that in, but the ticket prices itself, in other words, if you were to go up and just get one from the box office, I don't know that it'll have that folded in. Okay. I don't think they're going to do that. From there, it's hard to say. They could. I mean, I think they could certainly try to do that. Lots of schools are going to try different things to raise money. I think Nebraska is probably better positioned than most of those athletic departments. I don't know if they're better positioned than Oregon, but I feel like they are because they don't have to travel the way that Oregon does. But so, I think they'll have their answers. And I think the way they look at it is, let's say you had a number. Half the number needs to be revenue generation, and half the number needs to be how can we do this better within the context of what we're doing to consolidate costs. So like the concessions thing that happened last week that got approved, that's revenue generation and cost saving. Like I think they feel like they're going to come in, they're going to save a lot of money by having Aramark come in and build some of the infrastructure, and simultaneously they're going to make a lot more money because Aramark's going to bring in some new offerings. I mean, I don't even know. Can you get chicken tenders at the football game at this point? I don't even know.
I'm a Val's guy. I wouldn't know.
I don't know. Hey,
but that's like a huge seller everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get a PBA. You can get a chicken tenders and fries. I don't
think you can
know
in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. Hey, like millions of dollars.
Isn't this part of the discussion of doing this project and the premium seating that they want? Because you're also going to see that probably eventually over at the Devaney Center with volleyball. Aren't we running into this problem, Sam, that there's really nothing you can do about? We're in a state that only has 1.9 million. And the base of people that are going to give money that is difference-making money is getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, I think that's a great point. I think one of the things that was brought up to me long ago was, well, Nebraska's got very faithful fans, but it is going to take. But some of these other schools, and the school that was mentioned to me was Texas, and a few others in these bigger cities have a larger group of people from which to pull, and that includes Ohio State and Michigan. Mm-hmm. So Nebraska is invariably going to be running into a circumstance here, guys, where their pool is harder to draw from. It's roughly the size of West Virginia. I think Nebraska is probably a wealthier state overall than West Virginia, but that's what you're talking about. Is the same kind of number of people, and you're going to have to find people who not only have really deep pockets, but also a desire to do that with the money in their deep pockets. And, that's some people in the state, but I don't think it's everybody. And we'll just kind of have to see how it unfolds.
Can you harken back to when Trev announced the stadium project? What do you think the general reaction was from the fans? And do you think that now that people anticipate that this is coming, that this is something that is going to be announced, that maybe the reaction is just inherently going to be more positive?
What's interesting is the people that I thought that the original stadium vision was most for weren't that thrilled, because I talked to some of them because they were going to lose their seats for a year. Yeah. And I think they were a little nonplussed about that. Now I think what you're going to see is that some of the people whose seats have been grandfathered in terms of donation points, are going to lose some of their long-held seats that have been, in their family for however many years, and they may not necessarily be happy about that. And we're going to tell stories about it. Well, it's too bad that, person X who had these seats at the 42 and didn't have to pay donor fees because their seats were grandfathered in, had to lose their seats. As Dannon told me, if everybody was paying sort of the expected going rate for their donor points, that would be $22 million a year. That gives you a sense of how much money we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. So there's a lot of grandfathered seats, and people can be split on how they feel about that. Some people are like, well, that's how it ought to be. And other people are like, well, wait a minute. Like, so Nebraska's missing out on millions of dollars so that some person doesn't have to pay a donor fee because they bought the tickets a long time ago. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the debate, that you get on other things. Like, grandfathered rules are challenging. So I think they're either going to see the end of that. That's going to make some people pretty frustrated. But I think overall, the stadium will be nicer, and I think people, then people are going to end up being the most excited about, because at the end of the day, we're sort of cosmetic human beings. We all are. The grass. People will be excited about the grass. They'll be like, "Oh, look at the grass! It looks great." Yeah, they'll be most excited about that, and the seats they'll go, well, I'm glad I got a seat back, but look at that grass. They'll love the grass. When I talk to people, that's the universal approval. Like, well, Matt Rule wants grass. That sounds good to me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that'll be the thing that people see and enjoy.
Yep. We'll get chatter on this. Mike Eckler's salary was announced yesterday. So he goes from a place that you don't have state income tax, making $575. Nebraska's paying a full-time special teams coordinator $625. That surprised you at all, that salary was not that much higher than he was getting in Knoxville?
I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know what Nebraska's 10%, and so I don't know exactly how all the Tennessee rules work. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably about what it was going to take. I think he probably loves the idea of coaching back home in Nebraska. So I think that's exciting to him, and that probably feeds into that discount. I don't even know if it's a discount. I think he's making more money than he was at Tennessee, and he's making more than his predecessor. So I can understand maybe they could have went to 675 or whatever, but I think they got him at his asking price. So there you have it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think it's going to go very well. I think he's going to do a really good job.
Yep. Sam, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you, Sam.
You too.
Sam McCune of the World Herald. No state income tax in Tennessee. Now you're only getting $625 to live in Lincoln. I don't know about that.
I'm not a tax expert, so
he wanted to come back. I mean, Nebraska's paying a special teams coordinator $625. They're paying people money. I mean, they're spending money. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
One of the things that was released yesterday, or not released, that is still very interesting to me, E.J. Barthel. So are they negotiating his contract? Because his contract was up the same as Foley's. And you know what happened with Ed? They transitioned Ed into director of relations.
Yeah.
E.J. Barthel is still the running back coach, was making a measly $293. They have not announced his salary and Terry Braden yet. But they have to announce a new contract for E.J. Barthel, right? But that's weird that somebody whose contract is up, it's February 11th. The information that was released yesterday from the financial office in Lincoln, that his contract has not been announced. He's still on the staff.
I mean, he's still on the directory and everything like that. That is curious too, and the fact that they've been able to get all these other deals done during that time and do all these interviews and hire. I don't know if there's, I don't have any insight into that, but that is a curious thinking. So he goes from 575 to 625.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much is that really though in a raise from the, like you said, the state income tax? So it's, I mean, like when you pay that, the 6.5% you're paying now, if we're doing some quick math, 10% would be $62,000. So then let's bring it back down. I mean, he's probably making similar to what he was making at Tennessee with the new tax. I mean, love of the game, love of Nebraska. I mean,
so Foley was at 550.
Yeah.
There's another one. So Donovan Raiola's new deal was announced yesterday. He has doubled his salary in 2 years.
Wow.
Nebraska's paying their offensive line coach this year $500,000. Will pay Donovan Raiola $650,000 in 2025.
And Rob Dvorak also got a $150,000 raise. Very much earned.
I think he's still underpaid.
I agree. He was making $300,000, so now he'll be up to $450,000. Still, I mean, what he's done with that linebacker room and the impact that he's had on Kansas City, as well along with Jamar Mosey, who definitely deserves a lot of that credit. But that has been Dvorak's area of recruiting since the second that he stepped foot into Lincoln. And so, yeah, I mean, no excuses, right? I mean, they're paying their coaching staff the big bucks. They brought in the guys that they needed to bring in. They've brought in proven dudes. They've kept, some guys that Matt has known and has even coached as a player. I mean, it's put up or shut up time now. I mean, this is it. Year 3 is it. They've spent the money on the players. They've spent the money on the coaches. They've let Matt Rule build this roster to the point where it's a majority of the guys that he's brought in personally, that he's scouted, that he's recruited, that he's offered. I mean, we're getting to crunch time. we're getting to results time. I mean, this is the results era. So paying a lot of people a lot of money. And it's all about, you do really well from January to August, but how do you do August to December?
Hockey Dad asks on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620, do we still have a $1.4 million tight end coach? As of right now, yes. As of tomorrow, yes.
As of the next day?
I mean, there's a lot of loyalty there.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
But Nebraska's finally paying money out of the assistant coach pool. Are they getting what they're paying for? We're about to find out. But at least they're spending money.
I agree.
Instead of being cheap and you have a pool of $9 million for your assistants and you only spend 5.6, you're spending money. So at least that's a start. Are you spending wise money?
That's
about to find
the
out.
next question.
2025.
I guess we are about to find out.
2 in the books, 2 to go. Jimmy, how are we doing on the radio?
Still dead.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But we're not the only station, so we're not alone.
All right. So Radio Dead, streaming.
Alive.
It
and
is
well.
not
It's alive.
radio. But we're here on the stream.
Alive.
Go to your YouTube. Go to your phone. Go to your computer.
Brian Christopherson will join us a little bit later. Joe Arruda talk UConn basketball. What's going on this year with UConn? They're 4-4 in their last 8. They're coming into Omaha as an underdog and might lose again.
The sky's falling. Don't you turn your back on me.
I can't believe they're not ranked. Oh, we were just told we're back.
Hey.
Dookie Clint said we're back. I guess Duke and North Carolina are not back when they play at Clemson.
Nope. No one's back when they play at Clemson, apparently.
We're back with more after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, we're back, baby. Radio is back. People have been telling us for a long time that radio is dead.
Ours was.
Yeah.
And I say it's all right. Come on, I
No,
killed that one. That was a good one.
I killed it, yes.
Little darling.
No, we leave the Beatles alone. No one should be
Who are the
doing
Beatles?
that. They're the same person that owns a bank.
They're related to the California
Sydney,
Raisins.
was Sydney Looper dating John Lennon?
Jim Lennon.
Yokozuna was dating Jim Lennon, right?
Yes.
It's all right.
Yes. Yes. Kendrick Lamar was on background. Speaking of
Say,
that,
Paul.
you know what today is?
What's today?
So today is always every day has a national day attached to it.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
seen Courtney's Facebook yet.
I'm
I
not
don't
a
know.
fan of that, by the way,
Why not?
because
Yeah.
not every day needs to be special.
You know what? Every day does. Every day you wake up and you're upright is special.
Yeah.
And it should be special. Did you not see the look on Jalen Hurts' face at Disney World yesterday? He thought that was special.
It was
Hey,
exhausting.
I did see
He's a different guy.
the
Very methodical when he speaks.
Jalen, what are you gonna do? And they did the Disney World,
Yeah.
like all the dreams come true
Yeah,
commercial.
baby.
The last time I saw a commercial like that was when Drew Brees beat the Colts. And that is an all-time commercial where he's holding the baby and the
Yeah.
confetti's coming down. He's reaching out. And when I saw that Hertz Disney World commercial, my heart got warm.
That
My
might
heart-
be one of the best marketing things
Oh my
that Disney has ever done. is
Started
that
with
they-
Phil Simms.
So it's NBA and NFL guys.
Mhm.
And it's like you expect that. But I know that part of the deal is you get the player for 6 hours at either, if you're on the West Coast, Disneyland, or the East Coast, Disney World. So they're whisked away early in the morning. And they can either come solo, they can bring their family.
Yeah.
But part of the deal with the NFL in Disney's contract is they got 6 hours. They got 6 hours once the player is on the grounds
The
of
clock
Disney.
starts.
Yes.
Oh.
And so they do a bunch of stuff and then they always finish in the parade. And, I remember Mahomes last year looked like he was hungover. Most of them are. And could barely keep his eyes open. So he had his Ray-Bans on.
Yeah.
Come in handy.
Like Jalen Hurts yesterday,
He looked alive.
but he looked like he was not enjoying it. Jalen Hurts' story is really, it could be like the Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. When you look at Jalen Hurts and, what happened at Alabama in the championship
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a very good interview. He's got a great story to tell, but he's not a good interview. He's when he speaks, he's very methodical. I'm sure away from the cameras, he's a completely different, he's open and he's not so robotic, but he's not a great interview. That scene yesterday at Disney World, he looked so I do not want to be here.
Do you think that if he lost, right now, Jalen Hurts' stock is up? That Love Hurts commercial was a great commercial by Nike. That alone raised his credibility. Now you're seeing these great quotes like money, it's not about money. Winning championships is better. And all, there's the mirage of abundance of good Jalen Hurts quotes. You think if he lost that game, he'd be unlikable? You think that if he lost that game,
I don't
people
think
would
he can be unlikable.
I think that people would,
I don't think game managers are unlikable.
I think
Trent Dilfer used to be likable.
I think Trent. That's a good point.
They used to.
I think that people would have looked at his quotes and looked at all of these the
maybe.
stoicism,
Okay.
and they
All right.
would have looked at him standing in front of and just being very quiet and trying to be very serious. I think they would look at him a little bit. Oh, he's a clown. You could say all these great quotes and say all these great things and try and be motivational and try and be the cool guy, but when it really matters, you don't win the big game. You're 0-2 in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
right? I think
Jalen
that-
Hurts is a great game manager, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think he's a game.
He's not. You're a youngin. You youngins like to, first of all, overreact that the Kansas City Chiefs are done. You also like to throw around the word elite a lot.
I did not say he
There-
was elite.
there-
Yeah,
I
what's
did
this
not-
they're saying they're
Hey,
I
done?
did not
you
say that he
youngins,
was
you
elite.
youngins are very, very too easy to throw around the word elite.
I think there are 4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it's Burrow, Jackson, Allen, and Mahomes. And then I think there is another subsect of what you could call tier 2 guys. And I think after winning the Super Bowl and performing 17 of 21, ran for the ball for 70 yards, did what he needed to do, made some really big throws. The Kansas City game plan. Now let's now. I'm not going to get over modulated here on Jalen Hurts because I'm not going to deny the fact that Philadelphia playing such great defense made his job incredibly easy, right? But he did exactly what he needed to do. And Spagnuolo's game plan was, we're going to stop Barkley. We're going to do everything to stop Barkley, and we're going to make Hurts beat us on the offensive end. And given opportunities, Jalen Hurts did exactly that.
15 didn't retire, right?
And you can
I think he's. I don't think it's a negative. I think Jalen Hurts is a game manager. Could Kansas City have won 3 Super Bowls without 15?
Nope.
No.
Could Philadelphia have won on Sunday without Jalen Hurts, even if Kansas City plays well?
Yeah. Randall Cunningham could have won that game.
Yep.
Nothing against Randall. Love Randall.
That is, I mean,
Randall would have made that pass.
That's how I
Devontae
look
Smith.
at, like, I mean, and we're on a run where there are very few players outside of Brady and Mahomes that have won Super Bowls. So Jalen Hurts popping in to say hello. Nick Foles popping in to say hello.
They won their games. They won their games by an average margin of 17 points. They don't win their games on an average margin of 17 points with a game manager.
I think if
that's not game managing. Winning a
game managing is not a negative.
It's a great
game
thing.
managing is okay.
I think you can
take
claim that game managing is not a negative. I think that when there are people who inherently hear game managing,
they are not
it's
ball
not
knowers.
as good. No, I don't. I think
Look at the
he's more
2000
than a game
Ravens.
manager.
Tony
Hey,
Banks, Trent
He's
Dilfer.
more than a game manager.
Would Jalen Hurts be good in the AFC?
Yes.
Yeah. I think so.
Why?
Okay,
I
the-
don't
Does he get the
understand
same
this.
team?
Wait. I
The
don't understand.
AFC is quarterback dependent. NFC is more built for teams.
I don't understand, and it was the same thing with J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. I don't understand this bashing and this negativity towards quarterbacks who have really good rosters behind them when they win championships. Jalen Hurts won a championship. He did what
He's not
he
an
needed to
elite
do
quarterback.
in order
He's
to
a
win.
Good, he's a good game manager. He's probably in the 2.5 to tier 3 of the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL.
After winning the Super Bowl and playing the game that he did and doing it not only through the air but on the feet as well, kicking the butts of the Washington Commanders, kicking the butts of the Green Bay Packers, kicking the butts of a Kansas City Chiefs team that only lost one game the entire year, that has been on this incredible historic run, and he's just a game manager. He's just in tier 2.5 out of, I mean, I'm just going to say this right now. I don't know what quarterbacks you want to say that are better than Jalen Hurts in the NFC, because Jalen Hurts ended up beating those teams and beating those teams by a lot, right? Jalen Hurts helped beat the Washington Commanders by 30 points. Jared Goff had 6 turnovers against that team. You can't say he's better. Sam Darnold crapped out against the LA Rams.
Matthew Stafford, future New York Giant.
Could be future New York Giant. I think it's insulting to call the quarterback of the NFL Super Bowl champion a game manager after, for 2 Super Bowls in a row, outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He had a better game than Patrick Mahomes in the first time they played against each other. He had a better game against Patrick Mahomes the second time they played each other.
If Brock Purdy would have won the Super Bowl last year, would you have been irate if people are like, man, Brock Purdy's a great game manager?
But we're now
weren't San Francisco and Philadelphia
Brock Purdy
very
cannot
similar?
be a part of this argument because Brock Purdy has now been proven to be a game manager after his poor season this year. Yes, right after the Super Bowl, if they had won that game in overtime after an MVP caliber season that he had, I would think it would be a little bit ridiculous to say that he's a game manager. How about Jalen Hurts is just a really, really good quarterback and right now deserves to be considered the 5th best quarterback in the NFL? How about that?
5th best quarterback in the NFL?
Who is ahead of Jalen Hurts right now after winning the Super Bowl? It's Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Mahomes. There's your 4. You cannot argue with that. After that, do you think Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts?
Ooh.
No.
Jaden Daniels?
Okay. There's who Jalen Hurts beat by 33 points in the NFC Championship game.
I think Jalen Hurts is in the area where I'm not probably as high on Herbert as others, but the Goffs and the Mayfields and the Loves.
Who he beat all of them, or none of them won enough games in order to even
Quarterback
play him.
wins, loss is not a quarterback stat. Nothing wrong with being top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
He's more. He's
And Super
you're
Bowl
at
champion.
You're in the
minimum
top
a top 10.
0.0001%.
He's at minimum a top 10. He's right there with Daniels. He did. If they were winning games by 3 points, if they were winning games by 7 points, if they were winning games by close margins while their defense was dominating, you have an absolute argument of him being a game manager. They were not doing that.
Did they
kicked-
win because of
kicked
him?
everybody's
or could
ass.
They, have won
They won
without
by
him?
30 points because of him, because he played great games, because he did what he needed to do. They were never in a close game of the playoffs because Jalen Hurts wasn't operating at a high level. They won their games by an average of 17 points per game. I don't know if Sam Darnold does that. I don't know if Jared Goff does that. I know for a fact Jared Goff doesn't do that because he throws all those interceptions against the Washington Commanders, and that's the exact reason he wasn't playing the NFC championship game against the Eagles.
I'm saying you youngins like to throw around the word elite.
Yeah, I like
Elite
to throw
a
around.
lot.
No, I didn't. I never threw around the word.
I blame
elite.
PJ Fleck.
You were throwing around the there. We are too willy nilly with the word elite.
I'm not. I have 4 quarterbacks who are elite. I think that is the Mount Rushmore, the exclusive group.
But is one elite, and then 3 are elite? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because he beat them all.
It's okay to be in the top 15 of the quarterbacks
He's
in the NFL.
not. That is that to say.
Yeah, he's one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's one of the top 10. Could very well.
I mean,
be the
technically,
fifth
it's
best.
all true. And Pat Mahomes is one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league.
Exactly. You are the 0.0001% of
when you-
quarterbacks
when you-
in the world.
When you say,
That's a pretty that's a great accomplishment.
By the way, you can run a mile, and you're the 0.001% of runners in the world. Okay, like that's
Not true. There's a lot of runners. Have you seen the Boston Marathon?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
of
You see a lot of people
I should
running.
join a run club. Be a great
Maybe
way to
wait
meet
till it
people.
warms up a little bit.
Be a great way to meet people. Some very, very good-looking women in a run club. Sounds like a
Okay.
great way to find
So
a lady.
where I was going with this discussion on what is today?
And Fleet Feet just hung up the phone.
What is today?
Yes, you didn't even tell us what the day is.
Yeah, we're talking about music. Today is Get Out Your Guitar Day.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Don't have one.
Let's get you one.
Do you have one?
No.
I am the least musically talented individual you will ever meet in your entire life. I will never be able to play an instrument.
I could tear
Best-
up the xylophone. when I was
Best
3.
guitar solo.
Freebird.
Oh,
I've got 2 that immediately come to mind.
Or Stranglehold. I like Stranglehold. Stranglehold, Freebird, and Father and Son. Or not Father. There was a... Ignore that. Stranglehold and...
I'll give you my 2.
I would like to always wake up with Eruption by Eddie Van Halen.
But I was just going to say that.
Play that for me.
that
every
guitar
morning.
solo,
Ah!
and then I would do
And I get out of bed
Slash
with it.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh,
That's good too.
Hmm.
There's definitely some Metallica ones in there I can find from Kirk
Yeah.
Hammett.
Jeff Beck,
Jimi Hendrix.
Jeff
definitely
Beck,
has to be-
Bolero.
Yeah. Oh man.
Look at good. You are a student, Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix is good.
Good on you.
Mhm.
Jimi Hendrix is always.
'Cause that was way before your time.
Well,
And people don't really talk about
I'm
Jimi
pretty-
Hendrix
You gotta
much these days.
Hear
No.
Jimmy, not listen to him.
thing about my music is that my dad, and this is also to do with sports too, it was always what dad wanted to listen to and what dad wanted to watch.
Dad's got some good taste.
I had zero say in any of that. So I'm well versed in 70s music and rock and that type of stuff. Well versed enough to hold a convo. Not an expert. You will come to find out, and I think people already know. I dabble in a lot of things. I don't know how many things I'm a master in, but I dabble in a lot.
All right, one email here before we take a break. This is back to the discussion about salaries. This is from Colin in White Plains. Good morning. I don't get all the angst about Satterfield making $1.4 million as a tight end coach. That was always going to be the cost since Satterfield still has the 3rd year in a contract. Satterfield wasn't going to take a pay cut to stay. Why would he when he is guaranteed that amount? And I'm sure he feels like he can get another job next year no matter what. Nebraska was going to have to pay him the amount either way. If you think about it, retaining Satterfield actually saves Rule some money. If Satterfield leaves, then you have to pay him plus another $300 to $400K on a new tight end coach that you bring in your total cost up to $1.9 to $2 million. If Dana likes him and wants him to stay and clearly Rule values him, why not just retain Satterfield and reapproach that spot next season after Satterfield's initial contract is off the books? At that point, either Satterfield decides to stay at a reduced contract or he leaves and you get a cheaper replacement. However, for this year, it is actually cheaper for Nebraska to retain him. That is from Colin in White Plains.
I think that's a great email and an incredible point. Gary, is Marcus Satterfield considered to be an elite tight ends coach?
All right. Brian Christopherson's coming up at 9. Is he?
Yes.
You answer your own question.
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know how many elite tight ends coaches there are. But
This
it's
is
just
an
a
elite
lot to
guitar
pay for a
player.
tight ends coach.
Listen,
Just
he
a
was
lot
a
to pay.
failure, a complete failure as an OC. And there's loyalty, and Colin is right. His contract is on the books. I think they were maybe hoping that he would follow the fam and go back to South Carolina, get a job somewhere. He didn't.
Yeah.
So he is retained.
Enough said.
Will he be involved in game planning? That's the question.
Yeah. Good point.
Or will he just be a position coach? It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. AEF Academy is one of the fastest growing youth basketball programs in the Omaha area. You want to get your game right on and off the floor? The place to go is AEF. It is the fastest growing youth basketball program that right now has tryouts around the corner for spring and summer. Attitude, effort, focus. 3 core values that all of the people that are involved with AEF have instilled in every athlete to become impact players both on the court and off the court in their communities. They've got competitive teams, camps, and valuable instruction opportunities for players of all levels from second grade through 17 under boys and girls teams. Again, they're getting ready for their tryouts, which are absolutely free. You can check out the dates and more information online at aefacademy.com. They develop great athletes and even better humans. That's the most important thing. Everybody means something. And when they run their tryouts, they run a professionally structured evaluation process. They're going to provide you objective insight for team placement while targeting specific individual player needs. Again, no charge to try out, but registration is required. Go to the website, aefacademy.com. They've got a great location, 99th and Portal Road in Papillion, 3 hardwood courts. They've got fantastic coaches that are paid, trained, and dedicated to shaping the complete athlete, and they're always looking to hire good coaches. Plus, right now, you're going to go to Creighton and UConn tonight. You're going to see number 3 playing, and you're wondering, why is he so good? Why does he dribble so well? Why does he shoot so well? How do I make free throws like Stephen Ashworth? Well, you know what? Coming up on Monday at AEF, the Stephen Ashworth Camp. For more information to get signed up, go to the website today. All the information is there. Change your game on and off the floor when it comes to basketball and get signed up for those tryouts that are coming up here shortly. aefacademy.com.
Join the VIP club and sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know all the exciting content that's happening on The Zone, including sports news, contests, promotions, and more. You can sign up today at 1620thezone.com.
Bam! All right, you guys ready for a full slate of basketball tonight that includes there are a lot of stuff going on at the Chai. This is a tribute to UConn, by the way. You've got Dollar Beer Night, which they were opposed to. Marcus Blossom had to be talked into it. Like, people on his staff were like, this is great. Because
for Omaha,
they want to have, this is like fan appreciation night, and you don't really need a boost against UConn. You need the boost against DePaul and Seton Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Or the lower level teams.
Yeah, you need something that's going to get people to get there and get people to have energy. You don't really need to do that for this game.
This is just enhanced.
Yeah, so you have what they're doing, the rally towels. They got Dollar Beer Night.
Checker too.
Red Panda is going to be there. This is like they have pulled out all the stops for UConn, and rightfully so. They're back-to-back champions.
Make sure you got to check your section because each section has an assigned color tonight. You have to find out if your section's wearing blue or white.
They're well versed. They'll know. They'll understand the assignment.
Some people don't know that. It'd be a little embarrassing to show up in a gray quarter zip and you're just sitting in the blue section, sticking out like a sore thumb.
Did they not give you T-shirts?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they?
Sometimes.
I think
just towels
during
tonight.
the Marquette game, they were like, make sure that you look at your Connor went on the PA and was like, hey, make sure that you look at what section you might be sitting in, and this is the color you're supposed to wear.
There you go. Email Connor. I'll tell you what to wear.
Connor's got a big night. You think Connor got a wink of sleep last night thinking about throwing the Bulls up to Red Panda? That could be embarrassing tonight. That could be really embarrassing.
Or his finest
chucks
moment.
One over the head of Red Panda, or if he hits her right in the face and she falls down. Career over.
That would be uncomfortable.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm all for content. Kind of rooting for Connor to fail a little bit. It'd be great for content if he just.
No.
He likes you. He's your friend.
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be?
I think Connor will be fabulous tonight.
Be
You're rooting for anarchy. I'm rooting for success.
Anarchy. There's a part of me. Don't get me wrong. Connor's a friend. I love Connor. I love Happer. But part of me does want him to just miss the mark completely and absolutely knock the Bulls off the top of her head. That would be really funny.
All right, the night in college basketball. Yeah, so you have Auburn at Vanderbilt, UCLA at Illinois.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Florida at Mississippi State, Georgia at Texas A&M, Tennessee at Kentucky. Jesus, SEC. Alabama at Texas. Do you think that places that are football schools that all of a sudden are winning in basketball trigger the football schools that are not winning in basketball? So this weekend, we're going to have a 1-2 matchup in Auburn and Alabama. Two schools that you have had, a modicum of basketball success, but their football, you just don't. At a basketball school, you just don't up DJ Durkin's salary as the D coordinator to make him the second highest paid D coordinator in college football. That's what Auburn did yesterday, which is crazy. But Alabama is winning in basketball. Auburn has won in basketball under Bruce Pearl. Shows about the right hire. You make the right hire, what can happen in a place that usually during the wintertime is a buffer between the end of the season and spring football. Purdue is at Michigan.
That's a great game.
Indiana.
But it's on the Peacock. I can't stand Peacock.
I thought we liked them last year. Good broadcast.
Peacock.
What's going on? You said this earlier. What's wrong with Peacock?
I can't cross the streams, so that's why. And I don't.
Never do
and
that.
I'd rather have two quad boxes than have to, do just one screen on Peacock.
You're going to be at the Creighton game.
Yeah,
I know.
Unless you're in a suite. You have a TV access.
I'm not in a suite, but I will have some TV access. I actually am going somewhere first before the game to watch as many games as possible, and then I'm going to get him when doors open.
Indiana at Michigan State. Arizona is in Manhattan.
Oh, that's a good game.
That just strikes Big 12 basketball.
Absolutely.
Hey, how about Kansas State?
I was about to say.
Kansas State's turned their season around.
Beating Iowa State, beating Kansas. Coleman Hawkins, a little cocky at the presser, being like, oh, it's not much of a rivalry with Hunter Dickinson. I'm 6-1 against him.
They didn't rush the floor.
UConn at Creighton. So hold on here. Looking at this graphic, at 6, Purdue, Michigan's on Peacock.
Yes.
At 8, Indiana, Michigan State is on Peacock.
No. At 7,
Because at 7, UCLA and Illinois are listed on Peacock.
They're on Peacock. At 8, the 8. So who do you say is that in Peacock again?
Indiana, Michigan State on this graphic says they're on Peacock.
Let me look here.
Do we have a trio of ball nights on Peacock?
That'd be so annoying.
A trio of Big Ten games?
You can't do like a multi-view on. Yeah, you have a 6 o'clock game on Peacock, a 7 o'clock game on Peacock, and an 8 o'clock game on Peacock. And then you have an 8 o'clock game on the Big Ten Network, Penn State versus USC, and then that's followed directly by Northwestern Oregon at 10 o'clock.
Ooh, that's the game.
No, it's
Hey,
not.
man, Warren.
Why not? With that attitude?
Hey, Tyler Warren was really, really good in the first meeting between Penn State and USC. He was.
He was.
He was. They won on the road. That was a huge win at the Coliseum.
They almost lost that game. It was a really competitive game.
All right, so that is your night in college
That's crazy.
basketball.
That's such a good night.
Good, because it'll be cold.
What's your game of the night? Probably Tennessee, Kentucky, or Purdue, Michigan.
Tennessee, Kentucky's a banger, but Purdue, Michigan has a lot on the line.
I'm really interested in Florida, Mississippi State. Mississippi State only a 1.5 point dog. It's at home. Florida's coming off of a massive emotional win over Auburn, who you want to know how good Auburn is. They lose a game and they still stay at number 1. I'm shocked they didn't get as
Watch
many
out
votes
for
as
that
they
game tonight on the SEC Network.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, you just don't walk into that building and think you're going to have some magic as a road team.
Do you think Oklahoma, though, who's not having as much basketball success as Alabama, is like, we don't care. We beat you in football. And you think Alabama's still annoyed at that?
Yes and yes.
I don't know. There's some good football matchups tonight. Alabama, Texas.
There is.
Ooh.
Iowa State, UCF ain't a bad football matchup either.
Think Frost will be there?
Should.
It's at UCF.
Should go.
Maybe.
Go to a basketball game. I don't think the Magic are in town.
I think he hangs out in the student section.
Oh, does he?
He looks
he
so-
did the last time.
He looks so much happier there. Good for him. Here is Kevin. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, I got a question for Gary and Matt.
Yeah.
The last 2 times that we played in the Chi Center, guys, who won that game?
Nebraska.
Nebraska or Creighton?
Nebraska.
Yeah. And what was it from being more physical in the paint and taking it right at Kalkbrenner? Listen, I'll just say this. Creighton is built for the NCAA tournament when they're shooting the ball well. But when Creighton doesn't shoot the ball well, it's game over. It's game over. They wouldn't hang in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is a more physical league. That doesn't mean it's built for the tournament. That's not what I'm saying. But you know what? Listen, bottom line is 2-0 in the Chi Center over the last 4 years. Take that, Andrew. And you know what? If you want to defend that, I'm all ears. But the fact of the matter is we came into your building with lesser teams, lesser talented teams, and beat you on your own home floor. So any excuse you want to give me for that, I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
Hell yeah, Kevin.
Kevin?
Hell yeah,
Good
Kevin.
morning.
I love
Stand
when
your
you do this.
ground. Stand your ground.
Hey, I've changed my tune. I hope that in Wichita, Kansas, Nebraska and Creighton are playing in a 7-10 game.
Do you just want 4 hours of that? You just want Kevin
No, it would
calling
be-
back
hey,
5 times.
Hey, it would be all week. And then at the end, every caller would slip in. And I hope the Mavericks win.
Yeah. And go Mavs. Go Mavs. Go Coach Crutchfield. It's funny. I've had to man phones before in my previous jobs, like picking up. And there was one guy who called in one time. And he's like, "Actually, I got something else to say. Can you put me back on?" That'd be Kevin.
Now we
if
got
they had
people
a
waiting on the
7-10
stream.
matchup in Wichita, Kansas. That'd probably be the most listened to. Everyone would be listening on their way down to Wichita, driving down, listening to 1620. Just everybody hurling insults back and forth at one another.
The Pizza Hut in Concordia has a buffet for lunch.
I think
You've been
I'd
told
say
now.
I'd say 10 words that entire
That's
radio show.
You know what? I haven't because Nebraska not being the Big 12 anymore. I don't go through Wichita.
Mhm.
Like,
It's gotten better since I lived there.
well, you know what? They've
They-
done a really, really good job
Southwest Airlines flies there now.
downtown. They revitalized downtown Wichita. They have the minor league ballpark.
Very
They have
nice.
this arena where they're playing the NCAA. They still have the Roundhouse at Wichita State, which talk about mistakes. Like Wichita State going to that conference. And look, they had Greg Marshall. When was the last time anybody heard from Greg Marshall?
right before he was fired.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably.
you don't have like any sightings
Mm-mm.
His name's not mentioned for any jobs. So Paul Mills leaves Oral Roberts and goes to Wichita State, and I think they might be 500. But to be honest,
Nobody cares like they did.
No.
They're playing North Texas.
So
Do you think losing
at the
that
end? At the end, it got to be a pretty good rivalry between Creighton and Wichita State in the
great
MoVo, and you'd pay attention to Wichita State. I don't even baseball has fallen off. Now they're going to be better in baseball this year, but around here, does anybody even pay attention to Wichita State?
People forget it was a rivalry.
It's one of those things too, where it's like, they had a lot of hope with Kyle Singler and winning with those groups of guys, and then when they lost in the first round to Marshall, I think that was 2028 or 2018 with Greg Marshall as the coach, and when they were 25-8 that year, and they lose to Marshall in the first round, that just killed a lot of momentum that group had. Like, they were a high seed that year. People thought that they were going to make a run similar to what they had made a couple years before that. What are you saying? I didn't hear you.
I said, I bet Greg and his wife killed a lot of momentum of that there. Just from my remembering my dealings.
Yeah. But
she was, when they were here in the NCAA tournament,
she was outspoken.
She was a big fan. Big fan. I mean, I don't know many coaches' wives. I don't think Mac's wife or Jody Crutchfield or Fred's wife, they wear a jersey in the stands. I don't think they do.
Opposing fans.
Yeah.
She would have been, the Wichita State-Creighton rivalry, just bring them in the Big East.
But they've done a really good job in Wichita. So I was there a couple of years ago to do a basketball game. They've revitalized their downtown with that minor league ballpark. It's really, really nice. Lawrence Dumont, I think they tear it down.
Yeah, and then they built this one. Great tribute to us. Very nice
but
ballpark.
Like people around here, like Wichita's not part of a discussion anymore. And we clamored when Creighton went to the Big East of, hey, wouldn't you like to have a home and home again between Creighton and Wichita State? Maybe Raz will work it out and he'll put it on the schedule. Nothing. Now in baseball, Omaha and Creighton and Nebraska need Wichita State because of the locale. But like basketball, nobody's interested in playing them. Omaha has played at Wichita State, but Nebraska hasn't played Wichita State. It's not like they have in the past. But Creighton and Wichita State haven't played each other, and there's not like even a clamoring. Hey, let's get that get that going again.
That is a good point, because even like when Nebraska left the Big 12, right? Or there still was a lot of we still got to play Colorado a couple times. We still got to play Oklahoma a couple times. We still have to keep these rivalries alive. We still have to make sure that we're honoring our past. And it's just interesting to see that, when two schools like that separate, it's just, okay, cool. Thanks for everything.
Well, there's also, when Nebraska left to go to the Big Ten, there was the Kansas State, and Mizzou. They had edicts that they were like, do not play Nebraska. Do not play Nebraska. I mean, Mizzou, for the most part, sticks to that. Yeah. Like, Mizzou does not have interest in playing Nebraska.
When was the last time in basketball or football that they played?
I haven't played in football since
October.
They made the move
2010.
to they both changed conferences.
Roy Halou just scored again.
I don't just in recent
volleyball. I think they played once, but for example, baseball is hard to schedule, especially around here.
I think they played in softball.
Yeah,
I think softball they played.
But in baseball, and the guy that's the head coach at Mizzou is a Nebraska guy. Mizzou won't play Nebraska in baseball, and they won't. I mean, Columbia, Missouri from here is 5.5 hours.
It's not bad.
It's almost easier to go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and play Arkansas than it is to go to Columbia. But Mizzou had an edict from the AD that we're not playing Nebraska. Now, KU and K-State, they've played in basketball, and of course they play in a lot of the Olympic sports. But Mizzou's not been on the docket, and probably now they're going to say screw all of you when Omaha goes in there and creates some issues with softball and almost upset the Tigers last May.
I wonder if there's a similar edict for Oklahoma and Texas A&M from Big 12 teams. Or not Texas A&M, from Oklahoma and Texas after they went from the Big 12 to the SEC.
It's a different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Kansas and Kansas State played Nebraska because they understood why Nebraska left. There was not a animosity between the schools. And Mizzou, well, I mean, F those guys. I mean, that's what they would do. But because you had a great idea, Nebraska, Mizzou playing at Arrowhead once, which that makes too much sense. But now they got the Cincinnati.
I mean, a Big Ten SEC game at Arrowhead and split the stadium. Nobody wants to go to Columbia. They don't want to come to Lincoln. First of all, there's only one road in and one road out in Columbia. Play the game at Arrowhead, split the stadium. It'd be great. And it would be a Big Ten SEC non-conference game. But there is no interest from the people at Mizzou to play.
Make a lot of money.
John says in here about Wichita State Creighton, basically what you just said, Jimmy. F Wichita State want nothing to do with them.
As they should. I mean, Creighton went one direction, Wichita State went the other, and it's never looking back. Creighton's playing UConn tonight. Big game.
Different John writes in about Mizzou. John gets triggered about Turner Corcoran and Mizzou. He says, I am just fine with Nebraska not playing those toothless, mouth-breathing cousin Mariers from Missouri in any sport.
Well, you make me feel like I'm back home.
Do you think your hate for the Kansas City Chiefs comes from the fact that a lot of Chiefs fans are also Missouri fans?
No, it has nothing to do with it. It's the bandwagon fans. I've said that before. Fans like you, for example, the Joe Delaney story, those are real fans. I have friends that are fans.
Yeah.
Fans. And I've always said in the 90s, I loved when they were on TV. We got the Oilers, but if Buffalo or Kansas City were on TV on our local NBC, we would watch. So, no, that's just a short-term deal. That's nothing to do with Mizzou. Mizzou's along the lines of the Rebels and, the Ewoks. And, it's...
You just compared Mizzou to an Ewok.
No. I compared them to the Empire. Ewoks are their friends.
Ewoks were the worst part of the last movie. I don't care what you said.
Why? They work together. Dumb. You need to talk to Nick Grimm after the show. He did a complete dissertation on the Ewoks.
I hate the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi.
Why?
Because it's so dumb. Because the Empire is the superpower. The Stormtroopers should be like this valiant force that is like actually threatening. And a bunch of these little teddy bears are swinging logs off trees.
It's like Super Bowl III. They were the Colts. The Ewoks were the Jets.
I don't know what you have against small furry things.
I'll take them. First and goal at the 1, tush push with those little dudes.
Nah, I take Jack Sawyer lighting them up.
I'm probably going to just stop here because you're now wanting to tush push an Ewok.
That's better than what he said before his prediction of Kansas City versus Philadelphia. I
was wrong.
Yeah,
it happens.
I give you credit. I give you credit because you had a caravan of courage there to put Ewoks and tush push together.
Yeah. I really thought it was going to be a 27-23 game.
Me too.
Somebody was going to have 27. Someone was going to have 23.
Right. Wait, didn't you say the Eagles?
No.
Oh, you said
I said the Chiefs were going to win.
That was right.
Well,
which I really did believe.
Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend, she's very happy.
I saw that.
Talk about pettiness.
She's so petty.
You know what? She needs to move on.
Also, too, she goes, do I look like I go 50-50 on Bills? Well, you know what? Travis Kelce is going to end up with someone who doesn't need to go 50-50 on Bills. All right? Who makes her own money. Who is uberly successful. Who's not just famous for being famous.
I think she gets way too much attention.
Who?
Like,
yeah. There are way too many.
What is it? Kelly Nicole is her name?
I don't care. I don't even know her name.
Oh, that, yeah.
Way too many people will get too much attention just because they date somebody or they do Huck Tua in front of a camera.
It's like high school.
It's not like high school.
You date someone, you get a bunch of attention.
Why can't you appreciate people's hustle?
It's not a hustle. It's stupidity.
I think she's doing pretty well.
Probably better than
She's a talented gal.
She is, yeah. No, I mean, it's just petty. It's just petty.
We're at a point in her podcast career where...
Are we on Huck Tua or Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend? Which one are we at here?
Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend is known for...
Travis Kelce.
I
mean, that's
why was she on the field after the game?
She was on the field?
Everybody's ex-girlfriend was on.
She's so petty. She is super petty.
Is she dating an Eagle?
I don't think so.
Joe Walsh?
Hey, that would make sense. Nowadays, younger women are dating geriatrics.
Does he have as much pull, though, as Bill Belichick? I don't know. Bill's got a lot of pull.
I don't know. Sometimes he went to parties and, stayed until 4.
Okay.
Do you know how big of a flex that is? Hey,
people are saying...
I got too many of these.
People are saying, you guys should have a battle for the Endor of this segment.
I got too many Super Bowl rings. Do you want to put a couple of them on? Want to put a couple of my Super Bowl
I'm not going to
rings on?
battle. I'm not going to have a battle of the Sun Star with you.
You wanna,
Yep.
He wins with Belichick.
You want
It all comes
you
back
want
to Belichick.
You want to put my rings on? I have 10. You can. I'll wear 8.
You probably need to work on it.
I know it's a bad
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I can't do it.
Stick to Tony. You do a great Tony.
Red gloves over here.
I was very heartbroken for my man, 87. They booed his girlfriend,
Yeah.
threw him off.
She had a great meme though with the side eye meme. It was funny. She's a funny. She knows how to work a camera.
What, but like as a grip?
She knows how to press record.
All right. Fabulous segment. This will be up for an award sometime later
Absolutely.
this year. The Nebraska Broadcasters Association. Not sure the hell where this went. But when we come back, we know what's going to happen the night at the Chai. Danny Hurley's
Don't
in
turn
town.
your back on me.
UConn is in town. The police, I'm sure they'll probably have 65 security guards surrounding him.
On horses.
I've brought peace, freedom, security, justice.
People are asking lots of Star Wars questions. Marty, I can't answer that. Would I be Chief Chirpa or Low Gray?
I think you'd be General Akbar.
It's a tarp.
At one point,
Or
I
Admiral Akbar.
don't know. I'm just saying yes to this.
Yes,
Now you're way over my head.
I know.
I stopped at 3. When you can just have the original 3, why do you need more?
It's technically 6, and there's now there's 9, and then there's a bunch of other BS.
So confusing.
That's
I mean,
not that
start in the
confusing.
middle.
Just watch.
I mean,
just watch.
why don't you start at 1, go to
Just
the
watch.
end?
Just watch.
Start in
Just
the
watch,
middle.
and you won't be confused.
I like the 3. You know what? I don't cheat. I'm an original.
Yeah, you're so cool.
It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
This basketball season, when your favorite stars score buckets, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. To play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats like points, assists, rebounds, and more. Yes, we've transitioned. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You can create entries with all basketball picks or mix and match across other sports. This includes pro basketball, college basketball, you name it. This week on Underdog, I'm diving in at the NBA because they made me money over the weekend, and it can make you money as well. Download the Underdog app. Sign up now using promo code ZONE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code ZONE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska, where we live, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates, like Nebraska, where we live. Terms applied. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
All right, Texter Bernie. We're going to catch up here on the Nebraska and Creighton crime and the fighting. What's going on? They actually need each other to keep winning.
Why today? Why today?
Because I said at the beginning,
football's over.
I know.
I said, do people not realize that
You
we may
sparked
be
it.
headed for a 7-10 Creighton, Nebraska?
You knew what you were doing today.
No,
That's why I
I
said
was
I love
just,
when he does this.
nobody has brought it up. I
You-
brought it up.
You know what you were what you were starting when you said that in the first segment.
Bernie says, tell the Nebraska basketball fan, congrats, hang the banner, beat Creighton next to the NIT banner.
I mean, hey, Nebraska did beat Creighton. That did happen. You can't deny it.
Hey, I just want people to know the apple orchard is not as prevalent as it was at the Devaney Center because I was a little worried there were a lot of NIT banners up there, and I called it the apple orchard.
Oh,
Yeah, that didn't go over well. That was one of the bad days between Danny and myself. One of the
Oh,
rare bad days. Well, he didn't like that comment.
that's a rough one.
He goes, "We won the NIT," and I said, "There's a lot of apples in the rafters of the Devaney Center." He was not amused.
Yeah, I mean,
Do they?
you're not incorrect.
I got to think. How come we don't have? You know, like you go to both Baxter and the Chi. They have the banners up. Why don't we have banners in Lincoln?
Well, don't they have?
They have the wall.
Yeah, and then they have the dates on them, or like the years, but they don't have individual banners.
Why can't we have
There
banners?
just hasn't been enough to hang banners about.
I want banners.
There hasn't,
I think I
Gary.
need banners.
Gary. They haven't.
Banners
They
make a
haven't-
building.
Gary, they haven't won a game in the NCAA
The
tournament.
Supernovas have a
There's
banner.
not. Well, they won a championship.
That's true. I used to work in a
That's
building with a lot of
that's-
banners.
There's a
where,
difference.
where are the banners from the Devaney
How
Center?
about you? Okay.
Where?
Okay,
Because
the Devaney
there's
Center,
some big
yes.
there's some Big 8 tournament titles.
There's some. If you want to hang them in the Devaney Center over volleyball, yeah, then absolutely there should be banners.
No, you can't have them in the Devaney Center because they get in the way. Because Nebraska volleyball has so many banners.
Exactly. So they get to hang
But
them.
now they
You're asking why a
Wha-
program that hasn't won an NCAA tournament game doesn't have enough banners. I'll tell you exactly why. I answered it in my statement.
you'd
there
have
you
to
go.
tell the history of the program.
Do you want to put the Big 8 conference championships up there?
Put some respect on what
Oh, yes.
Pikowski did
Big
in
8 was a
Kansas
banger.
City at
No
Kemper
one's- no.
Arena.
Fine. If you want to put the Big 8 conference banners, Big 8 champion conference
Are we
banners
just
up there-
ignoring that? That's part of our history.
No. If you want to
We wouldn't have the
have
Big 10 if we
separate
didn't have the
banners.
Big 8.
The
you wanna
Youngs
have
ignore the
separate
Big 8 and
banners
Big
for
12.
that, that's fine. But I don't want the question, why aren't there enough up here? You know exactly why.
Like when
They haven't won.
when Kid Cudi comes in to perform at PBA and he looks up, why can't he see banners? He would know no difference.
Should perform at the Devaney Center.
He'd have like a lot of banners and he'd be like, man, Nebraska basketball must be really good. No one has to correct him.
Do you like? Would you hang a separate banner? Let's say they go to the NCAA tournament this year, they win a game. You're hanging a banner. You're hanging a round of 32 banner.
Don't they add years when you go to the NCAA tournament, right?
Well, yeah, they would add. But
Yeah.
do you want to? If they win a game, let's say they
Nope.
win a game.
Nope.
Do you want a separate
Nope.
banner?
Nope.
When do banners start in college basketball? Is it? I mean, it's at the discretion of the team, but really, like Sweet 16 is probably the line of demarcation of like if you.
I gotta
made
set
it-
those out. I only do Final Fours.
They only do. Well,
I mean, it's true. It's
you
the only
went to Kansas. There's a
I'm
little bit of
just
a
saying.
different
Hey,
door there.
Here's the deal. I would just like some banners. I want to know where the banners went. What
Were
they
you that
do-
guy in
they-
college?
they
Like
do
you
those banners.
decorated your college dorm with a lot of flags. It was like Gary,
Oh, I did not have
Gary,
flags.
Gary. There's 8 flags here. I like banners.
We need more banners.
Nebraska basketball needs to win more in order for there to be.
Dan says he
banners.
goes, I think they're up at PBA. Where'd they put them?
There's the banner of with all the years in which they made the NCAA tournament.
But it's not really a banner.
It is a banner. It is a piece of cloth that is hanging from the ceiling that symbols something. That's exactly what a banner is. What do you want to be the Indianapolis Colts and have an AFC finalist 2014 banner hanging from Lucas Oil?
Steve responds, that guy clearly doesn't watch Creighton other than against Nebraska. They shot 8 of 26 against Butler, 6 of 26 against Villanova, and 8 of 23 against UConn. Won all 3 on the road. Creighton plays Nebraska now, and that's a different game.
Hey, so who were those teams that you just named? Butler, DePaul, and
Villanova.
Villanova. Yeah.
No, not DePaul. DePaul's not in there.
Okay.
Butler, Villanova, and UConn.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I'll tell you what the best stat for Creighton is, and watch this today. They are 5-1 in games decided by 5 points or fewer.
Oh, good
They're a
stat.
2.5-point favorite tonight against UConn. 8 o'clock tip here on The Zone and CBS Sports Network. If you
8 o'clock.
so much would like that.
I'd bet the under.
Well, okay, so it's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm showing off here. I did a little flex there. I
Go.
know what the time zones are.
Go ahead.
That actually is smack prime time on the East Coast. Remember, news doesn't start until 11 on the East Coast.
True.
Good point.
Dinner's
Prime
later.
time is 8 to 11. But that still seems like a late 9
Nice.
o'clock tip.
8 o'clock. I mean, that's one of those just straight from the shy, right to bed for me. Right into go on the computer, write some notes, go to bed. That's and maybe have a nice little
Do a couple swipes.
buzz. Buzz is probably waning off there after the indulgence of the dollar beer night.
So you think you're just going to get ripped?
No,
Like you got 90 minutes to just pound beer after
Do it
beer.
for those of
no,
us who can't.
I don't. No, we have to be up the next morning and we have to produce a very high level radio show.
Done it many times.
You're young.
Let's go, Rook.
You want to go beer for beer in the 90 minutes? You want to meet up with me? Go beer for beer?
No, because I have to be like adultish tonight around people that I'm with. Like I can't. Tonight is not.
Are you
the
going
night-
to big dog me? Like if I
Yes,
see
I
you,
am.
you're going to big dog me?
I am. Because tonight's not the night I'm around my Neanderthal friends. Tonight is the night I'm
Oh.
around people that have like letters after their name or before their name.
Letters in the middle of the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
J.R. Tolkien.
So
Yeah.
I-
C. Thomas
so
Howell.
even though they would like to get out and, get busy,
You're not hanging out with juniors tonight. You're hanging out with the thirds or the fourth. That's who you're hanging out with tonight.
I'm hanging out with people that, need other people to be to enjoy them.
Sure. You need to be the entertainment for the evening.
Yes. That was a wild way to say.
Oh,
it.
yes. I do remember where you're sitting.
Hey.
Okay, I'm with you.
Kevin says, good thing Nebraska has beaten Creighton by double digits.
Good thing.
This is low key my favorite thing about working here, or one of my favorite things. The listeners are first. That's the truth. But this whole thing, I don't know why I never get tired. I hope they play again.
7 verse 10. America, would you be ready?
I'll just
They
sit
wouldn't
here
get
on
us.
the dump button.
They're not like one of us. They wouldn't understand.
Be wild. That would be wild. That would be crazy. I want it. I want it.
And then if Nebraska happens to win the first NCAA tournament game, hang the banner. Brian Christopherson will join us next. Plus, we'll get some insight on UConn. Just 4-4 in their last 8. Haven't played since Friday night when they got beat at home by St. John's. And now UConn comes in here tonight. Not ranked. Creighton is ranked. Creighton's a favorite. What was it? 5.5 when they played in stores, right?
Yeah.
UConn was a favorite.
Yes.
Joe Arruda will join us coming up in the last hour of Gary and Matt in 1620 The Zone. Before we bring our esteemed guest, Brian Christopherson, on, there is a note from UConn concerning tonight's game. The line now is up to 3.5. Dan Hurley says Solo Ball, he has been balling. Thank you. I'll be here all day. He's been really, really good for them over the last this stretch where they've been 4-4. I think last 10 he's averaging nearly 18 a game. He's been added to the injury report with a wrist. Has been limited but should be fine. Hassan Diarra, though, is a game-time decision.
Ooh, that's big.
He's been limited and will be that way for the rest of the season, according to Dan Hurley. 3.5-point favorite. Creighton tonight, 8 o'clock tip at the Chai. Now it's time to bring in BC. Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you, Brian?
Good. Would you have a thought or two if a 7-10 game involved a team from Omaha and a team from Lincoln in the NCAA tournament about 5 weeks from now?
Yeah, I'd sign up for that. Let's do that. It'd be good for radio and podcasts, right? Get some smack talk. I heard one of your callers earlier. I felt like I was listening to an old school like Jim Rome show. Like you almost need it. Like you're gonna need to rack him maybe for his comments.
Yeah, it could be trending that way. So that's down the road. Nebraska's got 7 to go in the regular season. How do you think, because Fred last night on his radio show, he talked a little bit more about trying to get Bear Cave back, but he said it's swollen, it's sore, the high ankle sprain, so we're probably looking at an extended period of time. But oh, by the way, here comes Reese, here comes Queen, here comes 25th ranked Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think they fill the absence of Bear Cave against Maryland, a team that they fought, had a chance out on the road on the East Coast not too long ago? What do you think it does to their game plan on trying to beat Maryland on Thursday night?
Yeah, first off, it's interesting how it works sometimes in sports. Like when things were going bad, if you had brought up like Bear Cave and talked about his game, people would get lost and not see the benefits he has when he's on the floor, and it would be like, oh, whatever, he's not there. Like people would just downplay it. And now when something is taken away from a team, you see how valuable someone is toward this particular operation. And I think a lot of people are now understanding like how much Bear Cave fits into so many things that this team does. No, he hasn't been just a dead-eye shooter or anything like that, although Fred was right. I mean, he had the best game in a Husker uniform on Sunday with those 15 points, but also the boards and everything else. So it's going to be difficult because he does space the floor really well for him too, even though he hasn't been a knockdown shooter. People have to sort of respect him a little bit with that. And he's Nebraska's most consistent guy on the boards, I'd say. I mean, he is a guy who cleans out a lot of stuff for you. And who steps up? You're going to need Andrew Morgan to play great basketball. You're going to need Braxton Mia to play some good ball. Yeah. And this is where, during the journey of a season, you hit these road bumps and you have to have those guys who maybe they're not playing as much, but they don't take their eye off the prize. They're still invested. And so, Braxton Mia was brought in here to help this program this year and give them quality minutes. He did do some good things on Sunday. Nebraska, though, was -7 when he was on the floor, so, I mean, it's still like, it's not going to be easy. This is bad timing, as Fred said on Sunday, but you got to get past that and just say, what do we got? Everybody's got to step up 2 notches.
Hey, speaking of bad timing, the fact that this injury happened with under a minute to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's the tough one. So there's Morgan, there's Mia. Do you think to try and bridge some minutes here, because they're also going to have some fouls that they're going to have to give up on Thursday night, do you think we see maybe a little bit more Jacobson?
Yes. Yeah, you'll see more Cale Jacobson, I bet. He's a guy that Fred and that staff really just trust to know what his assignment is, to go out there and give you good minutes. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he gets, 4 or 5 minutes, and those are big minutes in games like these. So, he'd be a guy I would watch too. And then a big thing is, can Nebraska against this, big front line stay out of foul trouble? Juwan, I thought picked up a tough foul that I wouldn't call the foul on Sunday that contributed to him being on the bench. But basically, you saw what Nebraska was like for like those last 8 minutes without Juwan Gary, where they were just trying to get to halftime. And then he ends up with plus 19 for the game, 19 points. So he's going to have to be really savvy. And also Andrew Morgan, who has struggled with foul troubles in his career prior to Nebraska, about not picking up those knickknacks. Now, that's not easy to do because you want that aggression, you want all that. But it's going to be key that one of those guys isn't sitting over there with 2 fouls with 9:15 left in the first half on Thursday. So that's now an important sidebar to this thing.
Totally. Hey, so it's been a turbulent season, Brian. You start 12-2, you have the 6-game win streak, then you go on this. I don't think anyone was expecting Nebraska to beat Illinois and then go 2-0 on the West Coast. Overall, what would you make of the coaching job Fred Hoiberg has done this season so far?
I give him a lot of credit for. I think it's easy when things are going sideways on you to hear all the noise outside and hit a panic button and do some things out of character and get away from stuff that you think can work just because everyone else it's just being preached from a megaphone. Hey, you got to do this and change that. Yeah. I think they stayed with their plan, and Fred looked at those 6 games that they were losing when they lost 6 in a row, and 4 of them were close. And you've heard him say it multiple times, like there was some good basketball in there. You just had to iron out the consistency more. And so I give the staff a lot of credit for not just throwing everything to the curb during that stretch, because there was a lot of people who were kind of talking like that. And you got to realize in these hoop seasons, just like within the games, there are runs within the wins and losses. I mean, we saw when Cronin came here in UCLA for a few weeks after that, everyone buried them, and then they figured it out. I think of last year, the team that knocked Nebraska out in March in the tournament, Texas A&M, lost 5 in a row in February, and wasn't even on brackets pretty late into the season, and then suddenly was a dangerous team in the tournament. So I think you always just got to keep reminding yourself, this is what we can do well. And let's accent this and see if we can get those 4 or 5 extra points that put us over the top, and that's what they've done.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 joining us. Let's shift to Mike Ekeler, and you've heard the stories, you've interviewed him, you talked to him. So Crash is different compared to a lot of assistant football coaches that we've all dealt with. But do you think in this situation that he's at the right time to come into the Nebraska year 3 of Matt Rule and also come into a situation where he wants to be a special teams coach? Do you think that's a different skill set, that instead of, hey, we want you on our staff, but can you coach special teams? A guy wants to be a special teams coach. How much of a difference that makes?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think when you go through his interviews when he was at Tennessee, that became who he was. Like that, we're going to figure out a way to not just break even, but break it open with this unit. And he built that mentality within that operation. And this hire is being celebrated not because it's Mike Ekeler and he has a great vertical leap and all this stuff and he's fun. It's celebrated because he's got the data. He has good numbers from his previous job, and I think the guys in the Husker program are going to look at that and see, how they turn games, their direction with that phase, and they're going to be excited. And he's a personable guy, and I think that counts for a lot. Ed Foley was too, so it takes more than that. But he is going to have that personality where his meetings, I think, are always going to be interesting to guys, and they're going to gravitate toward him and wanting to succeed for him. And YouTube goes back far enough too. They can go back, and was watching a clip the other day of Mike Eckler covering a kick in the Copper Bowl. Like, and he's I mean, it's on there that he was a maniac. Like, you can hear that stuff be like crash, whatever, okay, but it's out there, and I think that means something too when they look at a guy who say this guy was actually a maniac who wanted to fly down and knock someone's head off, and I think that all helps in wanting to play for a guy. But yeah, it feels like the timing just matched up right from both ends really on this one. But now you got to go back it up.
What do you make of the clash of personalities on this Nebraska coaching staff? I mean, you have guys who are, balls to the wall, who have a ton of energy. And then you also have some guys who are a little bit more reserved, who are a little bit more quieter. Like, do you think that plays into anything at all, that maybe, maybe it'll be a little bit difficult for Rhule to get collaboration, or is it kind of just it's all under one head? I mean, is there anything really to read into that, just the stark differences in personalities?
I think that's a good question, man. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a big hindrance. I've written a couple times, even though they've had a lot of changeover, I see, like, within this staff, and this is kind of stepping away from your question a little bit, but I see a common thread with a lot of the hires where even though there was such turnover, it doesn't feel like as dramatic to me, if that makes sense. Like, you go through it, like, for instance, like Terry Braden is part of, like, the D-line tree of coaches. Like, the way he was taught how to play D-line and coach D-line is the same as the other coaches that Matt Rhule has had. Yeah. I think, like, Addison Williams, and just the fact that he's been a coordinator before, and now he gets to mesh with John Butler, he's taking over that position Butler had, but they've both been a DC, and they can kind of maybe get on the same wavelength with that. I think that matters. Phil Simpson obviously was here 2 years ago. Eckler, even though he's not as connected maybe to Rhule's staff, he has that experience of what it's like to be inside the Nebraska bubble. And so as you kind of go, and Dakeil Shorts, I mean, he's Holgerson's right-hand man and actually knows more of what Dana wants than anybody over there in that building at this point. And so as I kind of go through each name, for the most part, even though there's like 5 or 6 different ones, it feels like, yeah, I can see how there's a connective tissue there that can work pretty well and seamless. But it's a fair question, and it's hard to get to the bottom of, because we'll ask, like, how's the chemistry, how's the gelling going on in the spring, and it always sounds good. So you never really know till you get to the games and you're in the fire how that works. But it's something to watch. But I like how all the hires make a lot of sense to me and how they connect.
I agree. And if you just, like, looked at the list of coaches, you'd be like, I don't know. That's an odd list of coaches. But you're right. They all make sense. I think it's a good combination of experience when you're in the power chair as a coordinator to guys that are, like the Matt Rhule, somebody gave him a chance, but it's not like I think Garrett McGuire someday will be a very good football coach. I think he was in the wrong position at Nebraska. I think if they would have had him doing quarterbacks instead of wide receivers, it might have been different. But now they have a couple of guys that are getting their first crack at being a college coach, or this is their second stop. So I'm with both of you guys. I think the staff makes sense in like what Rhule wants. And also, if you're going to separate yourself and say, we got a head coach of the defense and a head coach of the offense, and you look at, okay, how do you mesh with Butler? How do you mesh with Holgorsen? It actually does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Phil Snow, who Rhule's made no bones about, just like the trust factor there. Like, he was doing the interviews with the special teams. And I think in this day and age in college football, that hire makes a lot of sense. The fact that him being an associate head coach, it frees Rhule up to maybe some of the other stuff that are tied to the job now. And the other thing they've got going for them is they've got a lot of, I think, really talented recruiters on the staff. And with the ability to send any 10 on the road you want, you can be very choosy there. Like, you've got Jamar Mosey, and you've obviously Phil Simpson, but Keith Williams is very good as a recruiter. And so they can put these different guys out there and other guys can just focus on the football part. So I do think when you put all those layers together, on paper, it makes a lot of sense. And now we're in of course, that point of year when everything sounds good and everything looks good on paper. So we'll see. But I don't have it all kind of connects to my brain.
One guy who got a raise, at least announced yesterday, was Rob Dvorak. Just, what do you think of the job that he's done, not only just as the linebackers coach, but as a recruiter in that Kansas City area, of the job that he's done?
I think Rob's one of the guys, one of his more trusted guys too. Like he's said since he was in his late 20s, I know he's had quotes to us about how he could be a future head coach, and he's just got that temperament about him. And if you remember back even the last year, I thought this was smart that when Tony White was here, they would have practices where Rob was one of the guys who would call the defense, and so I think that is useful for him to grow as a coach. And he does seem to really connect well with recruits. He's like sort of Donovan Raiola in the sense that, like, if he gets up front and the microphone's before him, he's not going to be like the most entertaining interview ever. And so sometimes people like kind of judge stuff by that. Mm-hmm. But I think when you get him behind closed doors with recruits just talking ball, and this is what I expect, and this is how I'm going to develop you, I think like Raiola, he's pretty efficient or successful at getting that message across, and guys really believe they can grow under him.
Speaking of Mike Ekeler, they've made it official in our discussion here. They've just released that Mike Ekeler has been hired at Nebraska. Sticking with linebackers to get you out here, the crew that will be at Dvorak's, who he's going to have to decide who's going to play. Did they upgrade in the offseason across the board at linebacker, in your opinion?
Yes. John Bullock played really well, first off. But I think they've got more options. I think Javen Wright coming back is big. Watson Trent, I think he's a guy who wants to show he's a Big Ten guy. Like, he can play at this level, and he's very determined. And I know some people look at his size and question it. He's got like 360 tackles or something like that to his name, different levels. So that's always good when you can add that. And then with Vincent Shavers, we saw in the first half in New York City what he can do. But even a few days before that, he was doing interviews, and he's just got that sort of magnetic, like, it's our show now. It's my show. Like, let's go. Like, he's got that confidence, that Miami swag. And it depends too what we're counting here. Like, some of those outside guys, you think of like Willis McGahee and the Jacks and some of that stuff. When you put it all together, I like that group more. Now, if I were to bring up one guy that is talked over, who I think they're going to miss as a Jack, it's MJ Sherman. I think he was more valuable both as a leader in that room. He got a lot done production wise, but he was just such it came off as like a 35-year-old, like, over there talking to those guys. Not that that's always good. Sometimes it's better to not be that. But I think he's a guy, even Phil Simpson said this in New York, like, he's a guy that's not easily replaceable. So there are some guys that sometimes people forget about that were more important in the operation than you even know. So they'll have to make up for that. But I like the potential.
Yep. BC, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time, as always. Great work.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
That's Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. Here's what I would like to know. And again, Nebraska's made it official. Mike Ekeler is a special teams coach. It'd be great, speaking of linebackers. I don't know if he would dabble and help with linebackers, but that's also his strength. I can't wait to ask him, after he's had a full spring watching Nebraska's defense, what he thinks of Vincent Shavers. Because one of and this guy would make any position coach look good, but Lavonte David does give some credit to Mike Ekeler and his development once he got here from junior college in the lone year that they were together. So watching Vincent Shavers for a whole spring, I'll be curious on what Mike Ekeler, if there's a comp or what he thinks of him, because that's the popular comp is, there could be Lavonte David. So Mike Eckler would be a perfect guy to ask after spring is over, after he sees him go full speed for a while.
It's great insight. All
right, we'll talk some UConn Creighton basketball coming up next. Joe Arruda from the Hartford Courant will join us. What's wrong with UConn? That'll be the first question we ask of Joe. No, Joe's fun. As UConn comes in tonight, they've never won in Omaha.
Wow.
Oh, Mac has owned UConn.
Yeah.
Since UConn's come back to the Big East. He's owned
like
him. They own the Chiefs.
Owned him.
Not the Eagles. I'm talking Slapshot. Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in, Gary and Matt with Jimmy. Tonight, 8 o'clock downtown, Connecticut and Creighton. It is the game in the Big East, big night in the Big East, and time to get caught up on UConn with our good friend. We call him a good friend. He is in Omaha tonight, covers the Huskies as part of the beat. Joe Arruda from the Hartford Courant. Good morning, Joe. Welcome back to 1620 The Zone.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, let's talk about the. Well, you've had a heck of a run covering this program, and you get on a daily basis to follow Coach Hurley, but you also, for the last 2 years, the greatness of UConn basketball. How would you sum up from Maui to waking up this morning in Omaha the kind of season it has been covering this UConn basketball team?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, my first year covering them was 2 years ago, so I've only covered national championship seasons so far. So it's been different for sure. I think, they got shocked in Maui. They were stunned, and it carried over into those games. That first overtime loss to Memphis, obviously they shouldn't have lost to Colorado. And then the Dayton game, they just fell apart. And then, the Bees, they've been struggling with injuries lately. So it's been, this is stuff that I haven't covered, at UConn yet. They've been fortunate with injuries the last couple of years that, they've had so many extra pieces to fill in the gaps. And I think right now we're seeing, maybe the roster's not ready yet.
Yeah, Joe, talking about the injuries here, Liam McNeely out for a while, and then you finally get him back, and now Solo Ball and Diarra are now kind of banged up here. Has that affected the morale of the team a bit? The fact that it just seems like as soon as they get healthy, they get another bad break in that regard?
I think in a way, yes. It's tough because Diarra was meant to come off the bench. He was supposed to be in that sixth man role that he got awarded for last year. I think they thought they would get more, of the St. Mary's version of Aiden Mahaney when they brought him in. And that just hasn't happened on a consistent basis. So, I think that injury in particular has been one that's hurt them a lot recently. And Coach Hurley says, he doesn't think it's going to get very much better, soon. So, I think, at some level that's the point. And then, they played 11 games that have been decided by 5 points or less. So for some of these returning guys like Alex Caravan and Diarra, and Samson Johnson, they haven't, been in, a season like this before. So I think that definitely has to affect him at some level.
We know that, and he looked pretty healthy. Didn't shoot it well from beyond the arc, but Liam McNeely looked like we expect him to look a little bit on Friday night. So he's got a couple of more days of being healthy to get ready for the game tonight. But as this season goes, and I think Coach Hurley reiterated that you don't crown a champion in February. There's still a lot of basketball to be played and trying to figure out, as you were alluding to, Joe, guys just kind of figuring out their role. What do you think moving forward for UConn to have success, and maybe it starts tonight, what is the ideal role for Liam McNeely in this offense?
I think, he has to be a guy that he initiates the offense. He's pretty much the only, on-ball, one-on-one creators that they have. That can, drive into the lane and hit those floaters and, dish out of there. So I think he really has to be the spark plug for the team. And, he brings a personality that this team has had in recent years. And he's really the only one that really possesses it on this team, just with his fire and his passion, sort of like a Cam Spencer or an Andre Jackson.
Yep.
A guy like brings that edge that fits with Hurley and what he does on the sideline. And goes together. So I think he's really, kind of, the most important player. I think that's kind of obvious, going forward. But yeah, I mean, his shooting is huge for letting guys get open. You've seen Caravan struggle lately. Guys are swallowing Solo Ball on the perimeter. So to have one more guy out there that can draw attention is huge.
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was during the Marquette game. They zoomed in on the huddle, and Dan Hurley was telling his team, how are they more desperate than us? Being 4-4 in the last 8, how desperate do you think the Huskies are going to play tonight against the Creighton Blue Jays?
That's the word. I think they will be. This is a place that they've never won, and I don't, they haven't forgotten what happened last year with that court storming, with the heckling, Hurley going back at a fan. I think there's a lot that goes into playing here, and I mean they're gonna be desperate, and it'll be interesting to see, how they can play. When they went to Marquette on the road, they played really well. And that was without Liam. And then they go back, to Connecticut and struggle with St. John's. But, it's a different defense that Creighton has. And I think, they'll be desperate.
Let's go back to the game, which Creighton walked into Gamble and stopped the 28-game win streak. And at the time, Hurley was talking about defense got to be better on the backboards. And they've been better in that area, but all of a sudden, turning the basketball over has crept up. And I know against St. John's, that style, that physicality, there's a lot of teams that are going to turn the ball over. But now 47 turnovers in the last 2 games. What's happened in that area that they need to fix sooner than later?
Yeah, I think, part of it is playing, 2 of the best defenses in the league. Part of it is playing those defenses with Diarra hobbled.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Dan mentioned it yesterday. He said, we're getting better on defense or getting better on the backboard, but now this issue that we've been so good at the last 3 years, has come up as a problem. And yeah, I mean, I think part of it's getting healthy. Part of it's just guys being confident and not passing up shots. We've seen a lot of, Karaban passing up shots and things like that. So I think that's really what the focus will be, moving forward, because UConn's offense has been, and it still is, even with all their struggles, one of the most efficient offenses in the country. But yeah, they've got to figure out what they're going to do at point guard. That's the biggest thing. And Amon Noel, the freshman, he should be ready to go today. We'll see how many minutes that is. And we'll see what kind of role Aiden Mahaney can play.
So are you expecting maybe a different style of offense coming from the Huskies because Diarra, who is by far the leading assist getter right now for UConn, I mean, he's going to be hobbled. He's going to have a knee injury basically for the rest of the year. Are you anticipating a kind of a bit of a new look from them on offense, or is it going to kind of them just trying to do the same thing with different pieces?
I think at times, yes. I think, they've considered, he mentioned it yesterday. It doesn't seem like it will happen tonight, but potentially moving McNeely over and just using a positionless lineup without a point guard. Solo Ball hasn't really been a primary ball handler this year. I think McNeely can. I think Karaban, they can all facilitate in their own ways. But yeah, I think they're going to try to do what they've done with Diarra and just see how long they can push him. And they hope that, Noel can come in and help out in that area, and Mahaney as well, like I said. But yeah, I think we're probably going to see some changes, just some adjustments as the year goes on, because again, McNeely hasn't been available for very many games. Yeah. So they have a lot to play around with there.
Hey, one final one, and this has to go back to Friday night against St. John's and the season that St. John's is having. What's the general discussion on the East Coast, because you're in Hartford, not very far outside of the city, but the emergence of Rick Pitino, the pros and the cons from the UConn perspective about St. John's having the year they're having under Pitino?
I mean, I think it's great for the Big East. I think it's great for college basketball. He's a very entertaining coach. When him and Hurley go up against each other and with other coaches in the league as well, it's always must watch. So I think everyone kind of is happy that St. John's is good. I think everyone kind of agrees that it's good for college basketball. Obviously, UConn fans, would like to still beat them, but they've played them tough. They've played them tough the last couple of years, even without their best teams. So yeah, I think it's overall it's a good thing to have St. John's back.
Yeah, fantastic, Joe. We appreciate it. Glad you're in town. Have a good one tonight, and we'll catch up later in the season. But thank you as always for your time.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Joe.
It's Joe Arruda from the Hartford Courant,
great
beat writer for the Huskies. They have one of the larger Big East media cores.
Yeah.
Like women's basketball, they of course have a large core.
Oh, absolutely.
But back-to-back national champions. They're 14 on Friday night. St. John's blew it at home at Gamble, where now they've lost to Creighton and St. John's, and essentially a Creighton-St. John's 2-horse race for the title.
I love when we bring in reporters from other teams like that, and just have like that different insight. Get you a little smarter heading into today's game.
So they turned it over 22 times. The thing that you watch UConn, and the last 2 years they had NBA dudes everywhere. They have maybe one guy that can go one-on-one. That can put the ball on the floor, and that's McNeely. That's startling.
Yeah. I think so too. Like it was interesting watching that St. John's UConn game, and what I took away from that is you don't want to get into a fist fight with St. John's. You don't want to get into a slug 'em battle with St. John's. You do not want to get into a 66-62,
Yep.
You're fighting for every basket. It's going to come down to baseline out of bound plays or sideline out of bound plays or who's going to get the best look out of a timeout. You do not want to play that game because, number one, how long and athletic the Johnnies are, it's something. And then, like I talked about, coming those plays out of timeouts and slowing games, you don't want anyone else other than Rick Pitino drawing that stuff up for you. I mean, it is a team. The Red Storm's legit. And it's one of those teams where they're long, they're athletic, and they play tough. They just play tough. And like UConn struggled against it. Creighton, is the only team that's been able to get that win. And, we'll see it again next Sunday. But they got to get through UConn tonight. Going to be a tough game. Desperation going to be at an all-time high for the Huskies.
How about the Creighton has got another victory against UConn. So Aiden Mahaney, who was coming from St. Mary's when he was in the portal, was here in Omaha, and Creighton wanted him, made an offer. He goes to Stores after his visit here, and they went above Creighton's offer. So he said, "Oh yeah, I'm coming to UConn." The Aiden Mahaney that I saw played St. Mary's last year is like AWOL. They haven't been able to get much out of him.
His minutes, sir. I mean, he's only averaging 13.5 minutes a year. His field goal percentage has gone to 37%. He's only shooting 34% from the 3-point line, 17 of 49 from behind the arc. It's just one of those things where it's like you bring in a guy and you expect he's going to be something, and when he's at a high level at another place, and then he steps into that role, and it's one of those things where there hasn't been much failure for guys like that who are coming from programs where they've had so much success, and now they're enduring that a little bit. And, how do you fight through it? But they're going to need him now because you cannot undermine the importance of Hassan Diarra, with 144 assists on the year. He's more than double the next guy behind him, which is Alex Karaban. And now that he's going to be dealing with a knee injury for a point guard, man, that's tough to battle through with how much you're moving, how much you're ball handling, how much you're fighting through screens and whatnot. I mean, it's going to be a really, really tough undertaking for him to battle through that.
I would pressure Karaban tonight, get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible.
I like that.
I don't, and unless UConn is going to be desperate tonight, I like Creighton to make it 10 in a row.
With the Diarra injury, it's going to be really, really tough for UConn to come into a place where they haven't won and change their identity in a way to beat a ranked team now.
CBS Sports Network and 1620 The Zone tonight. 8 o'clock tip. People will be drunk. 90 minutes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I hope you got really excited there about being drunk at the game.
Excited for him.
I won't get drunk. I'll get a little.
I might watch the second half in bed.
Okay.
But I'll watch.
Difference of people that like to go out between you and Matt over here.
I used to be fun. I'm excited for Matt.
Buzz, push.
All right. Back to put a wrap on this show after this. All right, hope tonight downtown. Hopefully I don't get a text from you and say, hey, can you come bail me out?
No, I'm fine.
I hope they let people be fans. And I say this from the student perspective, that you don't need to be reminded. I mean, people understand. They put a lot into this game tonight. It's UConn. It's Hurley. It's the 2-time defending champions. They don't need to say, hey, get loud. They don't need to put a noise meter on the scoreboard. People understand the role. I mean, it's also a friggin' big game. I mean, anytime that Creighton and UConn play, but you're battling to possibly win the regular season in the Big East with St. John's on the horizon on Sunday out in New York City. I hope they let the students be the students.
Yeah.
Like, don't send out a memo today to the students about have respect. Okay? Just let it rip. Let them have fun. Let them say what they want to say.
2 beers at a time.
And don't admonish them. Don't say, this is not what we do at Creighton. Okay? Just move the weird blue crew, kids paint their faces, move them off the floor. Get real fans down there that get after it, that make you feel uncomfortable if you're UConn. Okay? I imagine like the memos that come out about how to be a fan to the students, like in the president's office, they're like, this is the right thing to do. I can imagine over like men's basketball, they roll their eyes. And they're like, have you not been to a game at Providence and hear the crap that we get that's said to us?
I think it would be ridiculous if they were to send hey, this is how you're supposed to be respectful and be a fan, because you know what you got yourself into. You're doing dollar beer night 90 minutes before the game. You know that every single student who's going to be there is going to be lined up and ready to go and is going to cash in on that deal.
Yes.
They're going to get their beers and they're going to yell and they're going to have a good time. Hey, don't complain about it. Can't have this kind of, I don't want to call it like debauchery promotion, but it's a promotion that promotes debauchery and having a good time. You can't double back
and friendship
and be like, oh, you have to be this certain amount of respect. Well, then don't sell dollar beers then.
I want him in the student section leading things, because then you get rowdy
too. Can't have cake and
Would you be part of the blue crew?
Bring some GBR to them.
If I went to Creighton, or the blue crew, what's that? Is that like guys who paint their face?
The students that paint their face. And
I don't think I'd be a part.
They're
of
not
the blue
like
crew,
the black hole at the Raider games.
No. I wouldn't be.
That's what you need tonight.
That's what you exactly.
Yeah.
You need the black hole.
Yeah,
you need Darth Raider.
That'd be ridiculous if they were to like, this is how you're supposed to act after selling $1 beers on a really, really big game where a lot of people are going to be there anyway.
I want Philly.
You'll have to walk by where the student section is and see if they have like the sandwich board up that reminds students the do's and don'ts.
What are they going to do? If they start saying
Extra
BS
homework
during the game, or they start saying ref you suck, or if they start saying like stuff about Dan Hurley, what are they going to do? Give them detention? Punish them? Expel them from school? No, you have no control over there. You cannot.
It'd be a little harsh to be expelled from school.
Yeah, I know. You
For
cannot.
basketball.
You cannot sell dollar beers 90 minutes before the game and expect students not to be rowdy against this team, against this coach. It's going to happen. And you know what? You should be happy about it, because it's going to help you affect and win a game.
Matt wants you to
Momentum
get wasted.
is everything.
Listen to him. Matt wants you to have fun.
It's their
Listen
fault.
to him.
I bet Hurley has fun with this tonight.
He should.
Because it's well known that his idiotic annex walking off the floor last year. I mean, students stormed the floor. It was a big deal. Beat the number one team in the country. Beat them handily by 19.
Yeah.
Is him walking off the floor, basically saying he's going to knock out a student. That has been shared. It was on video. I'm sure many people have looked at it already today. Since that threat, UConn has failed to beat Creighton. But I imagine tonight he will embrace the angst that he is going to get. I think he will. I think he will lean into it. It'll be perfect, and we'll just see how the game goes.
You want your coach to shy away from the sword? Like, do you want your coach to like wither under the pressure? You want your coach to
Dan Hurley is the last guy who would think like that.
But you want your coach to be a shell of himself because a bunch of 20-year-olds who are drinking a lot of beer saying mean things to him? I would trust less in my coach.
He should be like, that's a good one.
If that actually affected him, he should talk back to him. Why not? Get into it.
Take some selfies.
Get it going.
With them.
Prove something to your team. This UConn team needs juice. I mean, they need juice. They're banged up. They're injured. They're still trying to defend their title. They're still incredibly talented. They need to win this game in order to continue. I mean, I think we're past the point of them being out of the tournament. I think they're pretty securely in this tournament, but it's all about matchups, and so
Big if true.
You think they'll get the benefit of the doubt from the committee?
I think so.
So they're probably about, I don't know. I said earlier, USA Today had them as a 7. They're probably in the 8 range right now.
The Matrix has them at 8. They're fluctuating from 7 or 6 to 10 is their range right now. I don't think they're 6 at all. I think it's more so 7 to 10.
But this is a huge game for them tonight.
Massive.
I mean, this should be a lot of fun. Not a bad week of ball around here.
This is how you transition from football to basketball. With a great week.
33 days from now, we could have a 7 versus 10 matchup.
That'd be incredible. I think I started the show saying that I didn't want it. Now,
you want it now.
Kevin and Andrew and Nebraska Ball Mike have called in, and there's been some insults hurling back and forth, and we only just brought up the idea of it happening and hasn't actually happened. I want it. I want it now.
See, he gets it.
I want the rivalry. I want the bitterness. I want the chaos. I want the stupidity. I just want it.
Aaron wants to know, why is tonight's game on CBS Sports Network?
That's what I wanted to know.
Westminster Dog Show is a really, really big production, and we got to make sure that all of your pugs and golden retrievers and your poodles are all danced up nicely. I think tonight is athletics night, actually. So I think they are doing the agility test to see how quickly these dogs can get through some stuff. So that's why.
Is that really the lead-in?
Shout out dogs.
Yeah. It's the Westminster Dog Show. That's why you can't watch Creighton basketball on
Hey, the Puppy Bowl drew big numbers.
Did it?
It was a banger. Went down to the
Super
wire.
Bowl drew 126 million.
Yeah, and those are humans.
Again, I need Kornacki to come along and explain the TV ratings.
Yeah, because I know you mentioned yesterday that they were doing it differently, and that was going to affect the number.
Well, there's more like Tubi, and like Tubi does the Nielsen ratings differently.
Okay.
So that might have added to it. Plus, you had, 4 different options to find the Super Bowl for free?
Yeah, I don't.
And what do you mean? Like it was on 4 different channels, or it was on 4
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I just thought it was on Big Fox. Yeah. Regardless of it, yeah. Westminster Dog Show. And then you gotta, if you don't want to watch the Westminster Dog Show, just go over to FS1. You can turn on DePaul versus Marquette.
Oh,
what a banger.
Dogs.
What an absolute barn burner that's going to be.
Actually, this is like this is Andrew's night to watch CBS Sports Network, because the lead-in is BYU at West Virginia.
Oh.
Ooh, D-Rock.
So you get to watch DeVries. Then you get to watch UConn Creighton. And then Andrew will stay up because Tim Miles and San Jose State are hosting San Diego State.
It is. The only thing that could be better if Dana Altman and the Oregon Ducks played Northwestern at 12 a.m. Central, 10 o'clock Pacific. That'd be the ultimate
poor cats
quadruple.
All right. Hold on. David writes in, how fun is it the Nebraska basketball win in November is living so free, rent-free in his head about Creighton Andrew.
Andrew's getting put through the ringer today. I mean, I kind of...
He'll be back tomorrow.
Kind of enjoy it.
John comes off the top rope and brings Colorado into the conversation today. Creighton students, how about a Sal is dead, go Big Red sign tonight?
Jeez.
I think that would work fine.
Yeah, I think that would
might create some confusion.
Well.
You kind of be like, you mean Sal the janitor? He was a great guy.
You want anything that really is going to trigger a college-wide email about being respectful. There you go.
A college-wide email that has nothing to do with your school.
Yeah.
That people have to explain because all of you students weren't born.
Weren't born yet.
You have no idea what anybody is talking about.
They were just peer pressure into that. They're like, we don't even know what this means. We're just
owned a deli.
TV would show that sign and people would be confused. They'd be like, what happened?
They really are J-Skers over there.
Is Nick doing the game tonight? Could he explain once again what the J-Sker is for those that are like, wait, I don't get it. Why do they have that?
All right, enjoy it. If you're going to the game, it should be wild. Absolutely wild.
I guess look for Gary too, but
I won't be in. Probably not in camera view.
Yeah,
I won't be in camera view. So
it's a beer garden. That's where you go for the $1 beer or something.
Is it in a certain area or is it throughout the domicile?
The who?
I don't know. I was trying to use a fancy word.
I think it's only in the beer garden. Happer would know.
Yeah, ask him.
We'll ask him.
He's coming up next. He also has to explain something that happened on the floor last night during one of the timeouts at PBA.
Uh-oh. What did he do?
Oh, no.
Little Red could have been arrested last night.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's coming up in the
My wife would
crossover.
cheer that.
Tomorrow, Evan Porter, baseball coach at Omaha, will join us. Plus, we'll share our thoughts on UConn Creighton, which is at 8 o'clock tonight. Steve Lapis on CBS Sports Network. Why? Why for this game? Crossover's coming up next for Matt, for Jimmy. I'm Gary on 1620 The Zone.